Chapter 803. Waiting for an opportunity to act just like that, Yi Fei successfully passed the first check by the Xiexio. Xia Jun gave him a thumbs up in admiration and said, "Big brother, I really have to hand it to you. You were able to sneak in and even extort them. You must teach me later." "I was just lucky. However, even if we can pass the first check, we might not be able to pass the second one." Yi Fei was not happy that he had successfully deceived the group of Xiexio. He discovered that the Beast General had set up a very tight defense around the reef. In addition to the Xiexio patrolling the sea, there was actually another sentry on the reef in front. It seems that these Xiexio are determined to obtain the sacred bone of the Star Moon Sect's abandoned disciple. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sealed it so tightly. Yi Fei shook his head and sighed. Although he had known that it would not be easy to find the disciple of the Star Moon Holy Land, Yi Fei had not expected that there would be so many Xiexio here. There were no less than 1,000 Wu Juns just setting up the sentry. If their identities were exposed, he and Xia Jun would be in danger. "Xia Jun, follow me closely later. If the situation is not right, we will take action." Yi Fei looked at the several powerful Xiexio flying over from the reef in the distance. These Xiexio were very strong. They were all Wu Jun's 10th stage Wu Jun, and the leader's aura was close to that of a half-step Almighty. Xia Jun was a little surprised and worried. "What if we are discovered if we start fighting directly? As long as we are fast enough, no one will discover us." Yi Fei narrowed his eyes and looked at the 3 Xiexio flying over. 2 of them were 10th stage Wu Jun, and 1 was close to a half-step Almighty. Their strength was not bad, but it was still within the range that he could accept. Now, it was up to him to see if he could get away with it. "So it was you who held General Black Wolf's token and blackmailed my subordinate. You'd better give me a reasonable explanation, or else." Butcher flew over angrily. When he saw Yi Fei and Xia Jun's expressions, he was clearly stunned. Yi Fei's heart also skipped a beat. At this moment, he was already on high alert. Naturally, he saw Butcher's suspicious gaze towards the 2 of them. In the end, Butcher's status was not ordinary. He was slightly taken aback as his gaze turned cold. Just as he was about to speak, Yi Fei did not wait for Butcher to speak. He suddenly shouted angrily at Butcher, "How dare you? It looks like you are not convinced that I stole your subordinate's treasure. Then I will beat you until you are convinced." Boom! Yi Fei activated his sword force and unleashed all of his combat strength. The terrifying sword light was like a mountain, pressing down on Tu Fu. "You!" Butcher was stunned. At this moment, he finally realized that Yi Fei and Xia Jun were not General Black Wolf's subordinates, but spies. This was because General Black Wolf's subordinates definitely did not have an 8th-tier Wu Jun genius who could comprehend sword force. In fact, it was impossible to find someone like that in the entire Xiexio Sea. However, before Butcher could speak, the mountain-like pressure caused him to spit out blood. The 2 subordinates beside him were beheaded before they could understand what was going on. "Clean up the battlefield. Let's talk over there on the reef." Whoosh! Carrying the suppressed Butcher, Yi Fei quickly rushed over to the reef. Xia Jun also quickly grabbed the 2 Wu Jun's dead subordinate. The 2 of them quickly rushed up the reef. Fortunately for Yi Fei, he did not know if this guy in his hand was skilled or bold, but he actually only had 2 subordinate. After killing the 2 Xiexio's Wu Jun, Butcher was a general without an army. It was convenient for him to interrogate him. "Speak. You guys have surrounded this sea region. Is the disciple of the Star Moon Holy Land inside? Speak and I will spare your life." Yi Fei stared coldly at Butcher. Only at that moment did the Butcher come back to his senses in shock. He was, after all, a martial lord nearing half a step into the almighty realm. Yet, he was captured alive by Yi Fei in an instant. The Butcher was so terrified his soul almost left his body. He was loyal to General Xiongshou, but between loyalty and life, The butcher clearly chose the latter. There was no need for Yi Fei to continue threatening him. Butcher had already explained in fear, "Don't kill me. We're not sincerely working for General Xiong Shou. The Star Moon disciple you're looking for is in the group of reefs in front of us. You can go look for him yourself." Look for him yourself? Do you think we are stupid? There are at least 80,000 reefs here, big and small. If we really want to search, we probably won't be able to finish searching in a year. Xia Jun sneered. He had the map left behind by Black Wolf after he died. Seeing that he could not deceive them, Butcher immediately sneered and said, "This Xieshio Sea is the world of the 2 patriarchs and the 7 generals. No matter who you are, if you provoke us Xieshio, you will not have a good ending. I only know that if you don't speak the truth, you will not have a good ending now." Yi Fei held the Phoenix Blood Sword and pretended to kill Butcher. Anyway, there were many Xieshio here. After killing these few, he could capture a few more to continue questioning. He's not joking. Is he really going to kill me? Only then did the butcher realize that Yi Fei did not seem to know his identity. He actually wanted to kill him as if he was just a small fry. The butcher immediately panicked. It was not easy to get to this point. He did not want to die. Butcher finally became afraid and hurriedly shouted, "Don't kill me. I am Beast General's most trusted confidant. If he finds that Xingyue disciple, he will definitely send me a message and ask me to bring reinforcements. Fine, I won't kill you. But you better not lie to me. Xia Jun, watch him. When that Beast General sends a message, then inform me." Bang! Yi Fei shattered Butcher's primordial spirit with a sword. He turned and walked to a cave at the side, planning to cultivate for a while. "Pfft, you actually destroyed my primordial spirit." Butcher's eyes were red. Wu Jun's primordial spirit was as important as a martial artist's dantian. With his primordial spirit destroyed, Butcher's cultivation was also gone. Butcher had killed people his whole life. Now that he had ended up like this, he was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of black blood and fainted on the ground in pain. Xia Jun did not have much sympathy for Xieshio like Butcher, who killed people like flies. He just had a lot of opinions about Yi Fei going to cultivate. "Big brother, I want to cultivate too. Why don't we each take turns to watch over her every day?" "No, this is a training opportunity that I specially gave you. Xia Jun, don't let me down." Yi Fei waved his hand and walked into the cave. Xia Jun's face was filled with grief and indignation. Being an underling was indeed not a good feeling. He could only helplessly guard the unconscious Xieshio outside and listen to the progress of Beast General's capture at the same time. Of course, this kind of progress could not be made in a short time. After all, that Xingyue disciple was able to force the 7 generals of Xieshio to take action together. This in itself proved his ability. Chapter 804. Discovering a clue. I have 12 primordial spirits in my body. According to my estimation, I will need at least 10 million superior-grade spirit stones to break through to the 9th level of Wu Jun. After giving half of the spirit stones I got from Black Wolf to Xia Jun, I still have about 3 million left. Such a small amount of spirit stones is not enough for me to break through. Yi Fei frowned. He could only give up on the idea of breaking through during this seclusion. Besides, he still needed to find out about his sister. He did not have the time to completely focus on breaking through. It seems like I can only continue to study the Heavenly Tao Sword Canon. I hope that I can make use of this time to comprehend the first level of sword force to perfection, Yi Fei thought to himself. Although he had successfully integrated the force of heaven and earth under the dragon turtle's pressure and comprehended the sword force, it was still a preliminary understanding. At this moment Yi Fei's sword force was not even half a level. He could still resist if he encountered an ordinary half-step almighty. If he encountered a powerful half-step almighty or multiple half-step almighties, it would be very difficult for him to resist. Yi Fei planned to make use of this time to improve his sword force as soon as possible. This way, he would have a greater advantage if he encountered the 7 generals of Xieshio. Chapter 805. 10 Sacred Bones. Yi Fei thought about the 12 primordial spirits in his body, and sighed again. Although primordial spirits were good, the amount of spirit stones they needed to consume was also very unbearable. Not to mention, Xiao Chao was also a huge spirit stone consumer. Big brother, come out quickly. There's news. That beast general just sent a message over. Xia Jun suddenly rushed in anxiously. Yi Fei was a little surprised. There's news so quickly? However, this was a good thing. He could also find out about his sister's situation through the disciples of the Star Moon Holy Land. Come with me and take a look. Oh right, which sea region did you find the other party in? Yi Fei asked as he walked. As for the butcher on the ground, he had already been finished off by Xia Jun. After a period of experience, Xia Jun had finally left the ranks of newbies. He pointed to a sea region and said, "The sound transmission talisman flew in that direction. As long as we follow it, we will definitely be able to find that person. However, we will also encounter the 7 Xieshio generals again. Then try not to meet them. We will move secretly and try to find that person before they do," Yi Fei said somewhat anxiously. He quickly flew to that sea region. At the same time, Yi Fei also instantly felt a terrifying aura coming from a reef in the distance. Yi Fei knew that the so-called beast general was there. Fortunately, when Yi Fei came over, he restrained his aura in advance. Therefore, he was able to discover the beast general while the beast general was unable to discover him. Seeing that his subordinates were still slowly turning over the rocks, the beast general's angry threat suddenly came from afar. Hurry up! If you can't find that person in 3 days, I will deduct 10,000 high-grade spirit stones from each of you. 3 days? It seems that these Xieshio people still haven't found that person. Yi Fei's eyes lit up. However, even if the range was reduced to 10,000 li, Yi Fei still had a headache when he looked at the thousands of reef islands of various sizes. The Xieshio people have searched for several months and still haven't found that person. There are only 2 of us. God knows when we will find that person. There were Xieshio people everywhere. Yi Fei also couldn't use his consciousness to search directly. It seems that we have to wait a little longer, Yi Fei thought. Hee, big brother, maybe we don't need to wait. I smell. It should be left by that person. I will bring you to find him. Xia Jun suddenly, he said, Yi Fei's voice. Yi Fei looked at Xia Jun suspiciously. Are you sure you're not joking? What bloody smell? Why can't I smell it? It seems that I have finally surpassed you in one aspect. Xia Jun pointed at his nose proudly and said, I have been very special since I was young. Not only are my eyes very sharp, I can see beautiful women passing by from 1,000 meters away. My nose is even better. I can clearly smell the scent of beautiful women passing by from 3 li away. Yi Fei was speechless. In the end, he could only pat Xia Jun's shoulder and warn him, Xia Jun, it's okay for you to tell me this. But don't tell anyone, especially those female warriors. Otherwise, I'm afraid that you will be beaten to death the moment you arrive in Zhongzhou. That's scary. Big brother, don't scare me. Xia Jun's face changed color. Cut the crap. Hurry up and find him. Yi Fei didn't want to explain too much. Xia Jun could only obediently sniff at the blood on the reef not far away. The 2 of them kept avoiding the Xieshio on the other islands and quickly flew to a small reef island full of sea beasts. Big brother, the blood scent stopped here. Strange, there are only sea beasts here. Why isn't there anyone? Xia Jun looked left and right. The island wasn't very big. It was only about 1,000 meters wide. But other than the panicked low-level sea beasts, there were no traces of people. There's no need to search. If that person isn't on the surface, then he must be underground. Yi Fei looked around coldly. Suddenly, he stomped his feet on the ground. Rumble! The entire reef island shook violently as if it was about to collapse. An angry blue figure rushed out from under the island and roared, "You damn Xieshio! Go to hell! Big brother, let me deal with this person." When Xia Jun saw that the person who appeared was only in the 10th layer of Wu Jun, he was very excited. He finally had a chance to attack. He immediately threw out a mountain-shattering divine fist. Immediately, the blue figure vomited blood and fell to the ground. "I'm actually so powerful that I can deal with a 10th layer of Wu Jun with a single punch?" Xia Jun was very surprised. Although he was very strong in the past and could fight someone 2 layers above him, this time, he was fighting someone 4 layers above him. Don't be so smug. This person is seriously injured. It would be strange if you couldn't deal with him with a single punch. Yi Fei keenly sensed the injuries on the blue-clothed middle-aged man. He stopped Xia Jun from continuing. He looked at the blue-clothed middle-aged man and said, "You're the abandoned disciple of the Star Moon Holy Land. How much do you know about the Holy Land?" "Bah! A bunch of Xieshio. Not only do you want to steal the Saint Bones, you even want to steal my information. Even if I die, I won't say a word. I won't let you get the Saint Bones." Yi Fei's prediction was correct. The blue-clothed youth was indeed seriously injured. Now that his whereabouts were exposed, the blue-clothed middle-aged man's eyes flashed with the will to die. He suddenly used the last of his strength to grab a spatial belt and was about to destroy it. Xia Jun was shocked. "Not good. He's going to self-destruct the spatial belt and destroy the Saint Bones inside." Yi Fei nodded. He was also a little surprised by this person's staunchness. However, although he was surprised, he still quickly attacked and said, "Don't worry, he can't do it." His sword was like a mountain. Boom! A sword light suddenly appeared on Yi Fei's body. Then, the sword light turned into a huge pressure that pressed the blue-clothed middle-aged man to the ground. The blue-clothed middle-aged man couldn't even move a single finger, let alone destroy the spatial belt. Xia Jun also took the opportunity to rush over. Under the blue-clothed middle-aged man's furious and frightened gaze, he directly opened the spatial belt. Damn, no wonder this person wants to be a traitor. There are actually 10 Saint Bones hidden in his spatial belt. What, 10 Saint Bones? Yi Fei felt his eyelids twitch violently. He immediately put the spatial belt into his clothes without any hesitation. Xia Jun was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. "Big brother, when we meet, we'll split it in half so that we can meet again in the future. Sword Force, Xieshio is only an 8th stage Wujun, but you can actually comprehend Sword Force. I, Hu Yanchao, am unlucky. I didn't get my revenge, but I'm going to die in Xieshio's hands. I hate it." The blue-clothed man struggled with all his might, but he couldn't break free from the Sword Force. He immediately roared in despair. His appearance made Yi Fei feel a little sympathetic. He understood that this person also had a story. He thought for a moment. Suddenly, he removed the Sword Force's suppression and said coldly, "If you want to live, answer a few of my questions honestly and I'll let you go. I can also return these Saint Bones of yours to you." Yi Fei returned the Saint Bones that contained the spatial belt to the blue-clothed middle-aged man. Although he needed the Saint Bones to cultivate, he definitely wouldn't take advantage of others when they were in danger. "You're not going to kill me? Aren't you Xieshio?" Hu Yanchao crawled up from the ground. He suddenly realized that Yi Fei's aura was different from the Xieshio who had been chasing after him. Chapter 806. Secrets of the Holy Land. Of course, you can choose not to believe me. Yi Fei looked deeply at Hu Yanchao. He was observing this person. Hu Yanchao smiled bitterly. He looked at Yi Fei and then looked at the spatial belt that Yi Fei returned to him. In the end, he shook his head. I believe that what you said is true. With your strength, you could have killed me. However, you did not do so. Speak, what do you want to ask me? If I know, I will definitely tell you. In the end, Hu Yanchao chose to believe Yi Fei. Yi Fei suddenly became slightly nervous. It had been almost 10 years since his younger sister was taken away by the Star Moon Holy Land. During this period of time, he had been cultivating with all his might so that he could go to the central province and find his younger sister. However, when he really met a disciple of the Star Moon Holy Land, Yi Fei did not know where to start. After seriously thinking about it, Yi Fei could only ask the question that concerned him the most. I have a younger sister who was taken to the Star Moon Holy Land to cultivate for almost 10 years. During this time, there has been no news of her. I want to know if you know a girl called Yi Shanshan in the Star Moon Holy Land? Hearing this, Hu Yanchao was shocked. He said in shock, "What? This is the reason why you are looking for me? You want to find me to ask about your younger sister? Are you sure that your younger sister was taken to the Star Moon Holy Land to cultivate? Does she have a special physique?" That's right. She should have a special physique. Furthermore, it is a very powerful innate cold physique. Regarding the cold poison in Yi Shanshan's body, Yi Fei had done some research in the Taishan Holy Land. Only then did he know that Yi Shanshan actually had an extremely rare innate cold physique. This was also the reason why she was forcibly taken away by the Star Moon Holy Land. Yi Fei would never forget the despair and anger in his heart when his younger sister was taken away and he could not even see her for the last time. He had always buried this feeling in his heart and had never forgotten it. Sigh, who would have thought that you and I would share the same fate? We have all suffered unimaginable wounds and grief at the hands of Star Moon Holy Land. Hu Yanchao's hostility and wariness towards Yi Fei suddenly disappeared. He had completely turned into a sorrowful, pained, middle-aged man. This made Yi Fei feel strange in his heart. He faintly had an indescribable feeling. Xia Jun, on the other hand, bluntly asked, "The way you speak is really strange. My big brother is asking you a question. What are you trying to say?" Hu Yanchao did not pay any attention to Xia Jun, nor did he answer Yi Fei's question. He only leaned weakly against a tall reef and pondered, "Young master, are you planning to go to the Star Moon Holy Land to look for your younger sister?" "That's right." Back then, the people from the Star Moon Holy Land took my younger sister away without a word. I must find her and bring her back. At the very least, I need to know what her life is like in the Star Moon Holy Land," Yi Fei said in a deep voice. Hu Yanchao nodded and then shook his head. "Then, do you know what kind of place the Star Moon Holy Land is?" "I know about this. The Star Moon Holy Land is a holy land that blooms everywhere. They can be found in the Central State, the Northern Region, the Southern Region, the Eastern State, and other places. This holy land is really strange." Xia Jun interrupted. Yi Fei nodded. He also felt that the Star Moon Holy Land was very strange. It was obviously a holy land in the Central State, but it was very famous in other regions. What was even stranger was that the Star Moon Holy Land did not have a base in other regions. Otherwise, Yi Fei wouldn't have delayed for so long without receiving any news from Yi Shanshan. This Hu Yanchao before him might be the only clue he had to understand the Star Moon Holy Land. When Hu Yanchao heard this, a bitter smile appeared on his face. "Haha, it seems that you all don't understand the Star Moon Holy Land. Whether it's you or me, we've all been deceived by the Star Moon Holy Land. In fact, the Star Moon Holy Land is a den of devils. The reason why they spent so much effort to establish a base outside the Central State and promote themselves was to capture more children with special constitutions and send them to the Central State." "What did you say? Are you sure what you said is true?" Yi Fei's gaze inevitably became sharp. His younger sister was currently in the Star Moon Holy Land. She would be there for close to 10 years. And the Hu Yanchao before him was a traitor of the Star Moon Holy Land. Yi Fei couldn't be sure whether this person held a grudge and deliberately slandered the Star Moon Holy Land. Little brother, I know that you don't believe me. In fact, before an elder of the Star Moon Holy Land took my son away, I also didn't dare to believe that a holy land would actually be so filthy and despicable. Hu Yanchao sank into his memories. His eyes suddenly erupted with astonishing hatred. I didn't receive any news from my son for 10 years. I missed him so much that I could only leave the eastern state and rush to the central state. I wanted to see how my son's cultivation was going. In the end, do you know what I saw in the end? What was it? Xia Jun asked curiously. Yi Fei suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart. Hu Yanchao's eyes were red as he gritted his teeth and said, "When I sneaked into the Star Moon Holy Land and found my son, what I saw was the scene of his blood essence being forcibly extracted from his body. He died from the pain." What? Extracted his blood essence? Why would they do that? Xia Jun was completely confused. Yi Fei's heart suddenly sank. He faintly understood something. Hu Yanchao also stared at Yi Fei with a bitter smile. Perhaps you already understand. The Star Moon Holy Land is looking for children with special constitutions. It's not because they want to nurture these children. It's because the Star Moon Holy Land has a secret technique called the Star Moon Demonic Art. Through this secret technique, they can transfer the special constitutions of these children to those without special constitutions. What? There's such a cruel secret technique in this world? Xia Jun exclaimed in disbelief. Boom. Yi Fei also felt as though he had been struck by lightning. This was the true purpose of the Star Moon Holy Land. That woman brought his sister there not to let her cultivate, but to deprive her of her special constitutions? Then now, was Shanshan dead or alive? Yi Fei's face was pale. Even though he had a firm will, he still felt anxious and dizzy. He couldn't stand steadily. Xia Jun quickly supported him. Big brother, are you alright? Tell me, is what you said true? Yi Fei's eyes suddenly turned red. He looked at Hu Yanchao with cold and murderous eyes. Tell me, everything you said is false. Otherwise, I'll kill you. Unfortunately, everything I said is true. My son was also deprived of his special constitutions by the Star Moon Holy Land and died. I have a blood feud with the Star Moon Holy Land. I have no need to lie to you about this matter. Hu Yanchao met Yi Fei's gaze without the slightest trace of fear. For the first time, Yi Fei's heart trembled and became chaotic. He couldn't believe it, but he had no choice but to believe it, because he could tell that Hu Yanchao wasn't lying. He also didn't have a need to tell such a lie. Could it be that my sister died just like that? I once promised my father that I would use my life to protect my sister, but I didn't do it. I once promised Shanshan that I would let her live happily forever, but I didn't do it. I once swore that I would definitely go to the Star Moon Holy Land and take my sister back, but I still didn't do it. Star, Moon, Holy, Earth. Chapter 807. The Sword of Sorrow. At this moment, within a radius of 10,000 miles, everyone suddenly felt their swords weeping and angry. When they pulled out their swords in a panic, their swords flew into the sky uncontrollably and exploded. What's going on? Why is this happening to our swords? Oh my God, these sacred swords are the weapons that we have cultivated with our lives. Our life savings are all on these sacred swords. Countless Xieshio cried and wailed, trying to suppress the restlessness of their swords. However, it was useless. The sacred swords all emitted sad sword cries and then exploded. Lord Vicious Beasts, what's going on? Many evil cultivators rushed towards General Xiongshou. The giant fatty's eyes also suddenly burst out with a fierce, flame-like light. This is the sword of sorrow of a peerless swordsman. It's also the first step in comprehending sword force. Who dares to sneak into my territory? You bunch of good-for-nothings, get out of my way! Boom! He was, after all, a half-step mighty expert. As soon as General Xiong Shou felt Yi Fei's sorrowful sword will, he immediately turned into a huge mountain of flesh and quickly rushed to the reef island where the sword will was the most terrifying from hundreds of miles away. This also made Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao's expressions change. Xia Jun complained to Hu Yanchao, "It's all your fault. Why did you tell Big Brother all this? Now that Big Brother has gone crazy, Xieshio has also been attracted." "Sai, what's the use of saying all this now?" he asked me. "How could I lie to him? It's useless to say more. Everyone, let's split up and run for our lives." Hu Yanchao was seriously injured. When he saw the powerful beast general rushing over, he immediately turned around and wanted to escape. However, he soon felt a terrifying gaze firmly locked onto him. "You're the one with the saint bone. I didn't expect you to have accomplices. Very good. I'll kill all of you and I'll be able to make a fortune." "Kill those two." Beast General and Xieshio, who had rushed over, obviously thought that the crazy Yi Fei and Xia Jun were part of Hu Yanchao's group. However, after discovering that apart from Yi Fei's powerful sword intent, he was only at Wu Jun's stage 8, Beast General's face was full of disdain. He had no intention of attacking. His eyes were fixed on Hu Yanchao, who was trying to escape. Boom! The terrifying power of a half-step almighty was like an abyss that firmly locked onto Hu Yanchao's aura. Unless Hu Yanchao could once again activate the secret technique from before, he would not be able to escape from Beast General's lock. Hu Yanchao immediately complained to Xia Jun, "It's all your fault. If you hadn't seriously injured me, I would have been able to activate the secret technique again." "You're blaming me?" "I'm the one who's blaming you. If you hadn't spouted nonsense, my big brother wouldn't have become like this." Looking at Yi Fei's sorrowful face and the whistling sword aura in the sky, Xia Jun hesitated for a moment. However, he still prepared to rush into the sky to support Yi Fei without hesitation. "Don't come up. They came at the right time. I have nowhere to vent my sorrow. Then let my sword drink the blood of my enemies. I'll take your lives." Yi Fei's face was cold. At this moment, he seemed to have lost all his emotions. However, his sword seemed to be filled with endless emotions. Heart integrated into sword. My anger is my sword's anger. My injury is my sword's injury. Yi Fei's sorrow was clearly transmitted from the phoenix blood sword to the entire sky. This caused the malevolent Xieshio, who was approaching Yi Fei, to suddenly be shocked. Looking at Yi Fei's phoenix blood sword, feeling the complex emotions of sorrow, self-blame, and anger in the sword light, many of the Xieshio suddenly felt their eyes moisten. "Damn it, what's going on? Ever since I started cultivating the evil technique and killed people like flies, I haven't shed a single tear. Now I'm actually crying. Sob, 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 sob. Who cares? This kid is really evil. Once we kill him, we'll definitely be able to get rid of this hateful feeling. Yes, kill him. Since he made us cry, we'll take his life." Boom! Before the Xieshio could finish his words, he suddenly saw a terrifying sword light appear in front of him. That sword light tore through the void and condensed into a huge black hole. "Void sword flame, I said that I'll use your blood to forget my sorrow. Kill." Yi Fei became one with the sword. A huge flaming sword suddenly ignited in the sky. Then, countless sword flames appeared like a rainstorm, like shooting stars, and like a huge fireball that could destroy the world. It ignited the sky and also burned the sea. As soon as the sword light appeared, with Yi Fei as the center, the seawater within 10,000 meters evaporated and turned into a void vortex. Similarly, hundreds of Wu Juns and Xieshios in the sky were also evaporated. Whether it was the first stage Wu Jun or the 10th stage Wu Jun, they were all unable to block Yi Fei's sorrowful sword move. In the blink of an eye, they were all annihilated. The Xieshios who came after them were also ashen-faced and didn't dare to come within 10,000 meters. Beast General's huge body also couldn't help but tremble. Suddenly, he felt a trace of fear towards Yi Fei from the bottom of his heart. Who is this brat? He actually comprehended sword move in the midst of extreme sorrow. He's only at the 8th stage Wu Jun. Could he be a genius from the central continent? Suddenly, Beast General thought of something. In the end, the Xieshio Sea had Dark Azura Hall. Occasionally, there would be geniuses from the central continent who would come to Dark Azura Hall to buy treasures. Could it be that Yi Fei was such a person? But even so, this person must be killed. If Dark Azura Hall finds out that we stole their guests' treasures, then our Xieshiose's 7 generals will be consigned to eternal damnation. Continue forward and kill him, Beast General roared with the fat on his face. But as he roared, Vicious Beast suddenly felt a chill on his face. He touched it with his hand and shockingly discovered that his sinister face was actually crying just like the other Xieshios. How is this possible? Didn't that brat just comprehend sword move? How can his sword move be this strong? Vicious Beasts roared in disbelief. Why can't my sword move be this strong? But so what if it's strong? I still couldn't protect my sister. I'm too useless. How about we die together? Yi Fei looked at the huge fatty in front of him in despair. He wasn't sad or angry. Only his sword was trembling and crying out in sorrow. Whoosh! Yi Fei raised the sword in his hand. As he killed all the approaching Xieshio, he suddenly charged towards the strongest of them, the huge fatty. He didn't know who this person was. He only knew that his heart was in great pain and he was very hesitant. It was so painful that he didn't want to think or even breathe. Perhaps dying in battle is the best ending for me. Vicious beasts fight me to the death. Kill heaven and earth slash. Yi Fei attacked with all his strength. Chapter 808. Beheading the Vicious Beast's 12 primordial spirits emerged from Yi Fei's body like 12 dazzling suns. Rumble! The phoenix blood sword carried sorrow, anger, and the aura of death. It suddenly became incomparably huge, like a sword of heaven and earth, slashing across the sky and shattering the firmament. Before the vicious beasts even got close, he felt a suffocating aura that made him crazy and terrified. This lunatic, he actually has 12 primordial spirits. This can't be real, I must be dreaming. The ferocious beast roared. He felt his heart trembling. One had to know that even the top geniuses of the central continent could only condense 3 to 5 yuan spirits at most. However, Yi Fei was able to condense 12 of them. Not to mention the vicious beasts, the Xieshio, Xia Jun, and Hu Yanchao all widened their eyes. Damn, Big Brother actually cultivated 12 primordial spirit. This is simply heaven-defying. It's not just heaven-defying, it's simply perverted. He's obviously not from Middle Ground, but his talent is definitely comparable to the top geniuses of Middle Ground. Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao were very shocked. Soon, they suddenly realized that they couldn't control themselves and were crying. The sky was filled with sadness, and in this sadness, the vicious beast's tyrannical roars could be heard. I don't believe it, this must be fake. Don't try to scare me, vicious beasts, descend the mountain. Shocking demonic aura erupted from the huge body. The fat on Beast General's body actually turned into terrifying muscles that were like plate armor at this moment. This also caused the Xieshio to be in an uproar. It's here, that's Beast General's strongest meat shield defense. His fat body is said to be able to withstand any damage. Any damage? I'd like to see how you're going to block my sword. Yi Fei's expression was cold, and there was no emotion in his eyes. Only the 12 primordial spirits that appeared behind him exploded with an even brighter light. Then, these 12 primordial spirits all condensed into a huge, shining black demonic sword. Under Yi Fei's control, it whistled and wailed as it slashed down at the same time. Beast General's face immediately revealed a deep sense of fear. Yi Fei's actions were too crazy. One must know that the primordial spirit was Wu Jun's second primordial spirit. Wu Jun would become a cripple if his primordial spirit was destroyed. So, in a battle between martial lords, unless they were forced into a dead end, no martial lord would reveal their origin spirits, let alone use their origin spirits to attack their opponent. However, Yi Fei was different. At this time, he was completely disheartened and did not think so much. So what if my primordial spirit is destroyed? I was planning to die in battle. If I can't save my sister, what's the use of having more primordial spirits? Die with me. Ah! Yi Fei suddenly roared. His eyes were cold, but his expression was incomparably crazy. The 12 primordial spirits condensed into 12 terrifying giant swords and slashed mercilessly at Beast General. They also slashed at all the Xieshio in front of him. Oh my god, that's a lunatic! He's a complete lunatic. He actually dares to use his primordial spirit to attack us directly. The Xieshio were so frightened that they couldn't help but retreat. They looked at Xia Jun, their eyes filled with immense fear. It's good that he's crazy. I've killed people all my life, but I've never killed a genius with 12 primordial spirit. Today, I'll use your head as a sacrifice to the name of the vicious beasts. Hell's strike! Roar! The vicious beasts' huge bodies became even bigger. They turned into a 5-meter-tall giant fatty. The fat all over his body turned into strong muscles that looked like plate armor. It was as if they were made of steel, and they brazenly blocked Yi Fei's heaven and earth slash. Shortly after, he expanded into an even bigger mountain of flesh. He moved at high speed like a meteorite and charged fiercely at the 12 primordial spirit swords condensed by Yi Fei. The vicious beast's goal was very simple. They wanted to use their huge bodies to completely destroy Yi Fei's 12 primordial spirit. Big brother! Seeing this scene, Xia Jun couldn't care about anything else. His fists released a golden glow and smashed towards the vicious beast. But the vicious beast's bodies were too huge. They were a real mountain of flesh that stretched across the sky and crushed everything. Even Wu Jun, who was at stage 10, could be crushed to death by the vicious beast's bodies. Xia Jun's 100 steps divine fist hit the vicious beast's bodies, but only created ripples. At this moment, the vicious beasts were grinning maliciously. Their bodies were crushing Yi Fei's 12 primordial spirits and Yi Fei's original body. Bullshit genius. In front of my invincible mountain of flesh, you still have to die. The vicious beasts grinned maliciously. Is that so? Yi Fei was still expressionless, but his sword was even more sorrowful. The sky suddenly darkened. Void. Void. Sword. Fire. Pausing after each word, the 12 primordial spirits immediately condensed into 12 terrifying black holes according to his will. Yi Fei became one with his sword and disappeared instantly. He had completely integrated into the 12 black holes of the void. Endless sword fire whistled and formed 12 terrifying fire pillars in the void. They erupted like volcanoes and sprayed towards the huge mountain of flesh that was crushing down. The terrifying heat and the sharpness of the sword aura immediately made the vicious beast's body sizzle with the fragrance of barbecued meat. Ah, my flesh! This is impossible. The primordial spirit is the most fragile. How can a fragile primordial spirit erupt with such terrifying power? 12 primordial spirits and 12 black holes of the void. It was as if there were 12 Yi Fei attacking the vicious beasts mercilessly at the same time. The vicious beasts were indeed very powerful. Among the 7 generals, his defense was also very powerful. However, in the end, the vicious beasts had not comprehended sword aura and he was only a half-almighty. How could he resist Yi Fei's ruthless attack? The sword fire and the vicious beasts were in a deadlock for a few breaths of time. The vicious beasts were already screaming and frantically retreating in fear. Oh no, the wrath of the vicious beasts! Roar! The vicious beasts roared with all his might. However, His roar could not hide his fear and trembling. Incomplete sword aura and 12 primordial spirit. What kind of genius have I provoked? Spare me and I can give you many treasures. Treasures that you can't even imagine. I don't even have my sister anymore. What use do I have for treasures? What use do I have for my life? Let's die together. Yi Fei's black hair stood on end. However, 2 drops of sparkling tears fell from his eyes. The sword aura that filled the sky became even more sorrowful. Xia Jun, Hu Yanqiao, and all the Xiexio present could not bear the influence of the sword aura. They all shed tears. The vicious beasts was also crying. However, the fear in his heart made him so scared that he almost wet himself. He frantically retreated. At the same time, his huge body kept shrinking as he tried his best to avoid being affected by the sword fire of the void. However, the amount of sword fire of the void that Yi Fei used was too large. A total of 12 pillars of sword fire erupted at all costs. The vicious beasts only managed to avoid 2 pillars of sword fire. He was extremely terrified when he realized that 10 pillars of sword fire had penetrated his body. 10 huge, charred, bloody holes appeared on his body. What? The vicious beasts vomited blood after being severely injured. He looked at Yi Fei as if he was looking at a terrifying demon god. You're too weak. You don't have the right to die together with me. The sword fire that filled the sky disappeared. Yi Fei did not look at the vicious beasts again. He looked at the sky with sorrow and loneliness. He looked at a distant place. When the vicious beasts heard this, he was so angry that he vomited blood. He was one of the 7 generals of the Xiexio Sea. His defense was invincible and his talent was valiant. His strength was second only to the 2 patriarchs. In the end, not only did Yi Fei kill him, he even said that he was too weak. I hate you. Chapter 809. She's still alive. Seeing the powerful beast general get killed by Yi Fei so easily, the other Xiexio were shocked. No one dared to stay any longer. They screamed in fear. Many Xiexio were so scared that they peed their pants. One after another, they ran for their lives. She didn't care about Beast General's life or death. This was the Xiexio, the cold-hearted Xiexio. At the same time, a luxurious and domineering space belt slowly fell from the sky when the vicious beasts were engulfed by the flames. If it were any other time, Yi Fei would definitely keep this trophy immediately. But at this moment, his heart was gloomy. He allowed the vicious beast's space belt to fall to the ground. He also allowed the Xiexio around him to run for their lives in fear. Weak, too weak. Why is it so difficult for me to die in battle? I need a stronger opponent, an opponent who can kill me. That way, perhaps after I die, I can still see my sister. I can still personally apologize to her. Yi Fei's eyes were filled with sadness. He thought of the little girl who stood behind him and cheered him on when his energy center was shattered and he was ridiculed by his clansmen. He thought of the time when he was disheartened and gave up on himself. A small and skinny figure sat quietly in the cold, eating breakfast and washing clothes. Her hands were full of frostbites, but she still smiled. He thought of the frozen baby in swaddling clothes outside the nest of the vicious beasts in the deep mountains. But she still had a bright smile on her face. In the end, Yi Fei shook his head vigorously. I have to forget all of this. As long as I forget, I won't feel that pain. Boom. Yi Fei stepped into the air and held his sword that was dripping with blood. He stared coldly at the deepest part of the sea of evil cultivators. There, he could feel 3 extremely powerful auras. 2 of them should be the East Demon and West Demon that the Xiexio were talking about. As long as I find them, I will definitely be able to forget everything and devote myself to the battle. Yi Fei was expressionless. He was about to step into the void. Big brother, where are you going? Xia Jun suddenly stood on the reef and shouted. He was worried about Yi Fei's aura. Yi Fei was about to turn into a demon. Hearing Xia Jun's voice, Yi Fei's footsteps paused. But he didn't stop. He only raised his head and stared at the distant sea. There are enemies there. I want to fight. No, you can't go. If you go there, you'll die. It was true that Xia Jun was a rookie, but he wasn't stupid. Vaguely, he already knew what Yi Fei was thinking. Xia Jun immediately pointed at Hu Yanxiao angrily and scolded, "It's all because of what you said. If something happens to my brother, I will definitely kill you." "Kill me? You think you can kill me?" Hu Yanxiao sneered. But very quickly, a pair of cold eyes stared at him. That was Yi Fei's gaze. It was very calm, without a trace of emotion, but it caused Hu Yanxiao to break out in cold sweat. After that, Hu Yanxiao coughed out blood and laughed madly. "Ha ha ha, very good eyes. Little brother, I like your calm eyes that are filled with hatred. Because only with this kind of eyes can you go to the Star Moon Holy Land for revenge. My son is dead, but there is still hope for your sister. She might still be alive." Hu Yanxiao laughed. But soon, he couldn't laugh anymore. Yi Fei's cold eyes flashed. He grabbed at the air and a terrifying sword aura condensed into an invisible hand. It grabbed Hu Yanxiao's neck and lifted him into the air. "What did you say just now? You said that my sister is dead. Now you say that she is still alive. If you dare to lie to me, don't blame me for being impolite." Yi Fei's voice was bone-chilling. Even though Hu Yanxiao was used to seeing storms, he couldn't help but shiver. He thought to himself, this kid has terrifying eyes, 12 primordial spirits, and an invisible sword aura. Such talent is definitely comparable to the top geniuses of the Central State. He is also the most likely person to help me take revenge. Suddenly, Hu Yanxiao made a decision. His expression became respectful. "Young master, I did not lie to you. Although the demonic art of the Star Moon Holy Land is powerful, it is not without restrictions. Before my son died, he told me that the Holy Land can only take away their special physique if they cultivate the Star Moon demonic art for more than 10 years. If your sister joined the Holy Land for less than 10 years, she might still have a chance to live." "What? The Star Moon demonic art requires 10 years to take away someone's special physique. Is what you said true? Are you sure you are not lying to me?" Yi Fei couldn't help but become agitated. Calculating the time, it had been more than 9 years since his sister was taken away by the Star Moon Holy Land. If what Hu Yanxiao said was true, didn't that mean that his sister still had a year to delay? He still had a year to save his sister and make up for his mistakes. Boom! Yi Fei's mind finally cleared. At this time, he realized that he had almost suffered a chi deviation due to the shock of the news about his sister. If it weren't for Xia Jun and Hu Yanxiao's timely reminder, Yi Fei might have already gone to find the Eastern Demon and Western Demon. That was close, that was close. The Heart Demon is everywhere and there is no hole it can't enter. Recently, my strength has increased very quickly. It seems that my foundation has become unstable. After understanding this, Yi Fei apologetically released Hu Yanxiao's neck and said, "Senior, I'm sorry. I was too agitated just now." "It's fine. I can see that if you didn't act like this, I wouldn't have made up my mind to tell you all these secrets. However, your demonic appearance is really scary." Hu Yanxiao still had a lingering fear. When others became demonic, they would either be bloodthirsty or crazy. However, Yi Fei's demonic state was actually endless indifference. That kind of indifference was like the Grim Reaper looking down on the world. Even now, Hu Yanxiao was frightened just thinking about it. At this time, Xia Jun also found the spatial belt that Beast General dropped. He flew over and said worriedly, "Big brother, are you okay? Fortunately, you didn't completely become demonic. Otherwise, I would have risked my life to kill him." Xia Jun stared at Hu Yanxiao with eyes full of hostility. Yi Fei was a little embarrassed. He helped Hu Yanxiao explain, it's not his fault. I broke through too quickly recently and my mental state is unstable. Hu Yanqiao, is there a suitable place for cultivation nearby? I have to go into seclusion for a period of time. After that, you can tell me more about the Star Moon Holy Land in detail. At the mention of the Star Moon Holy Land, Yi Fei's body once again emitted an awe-inspiring indifference. However, he quickly suppressed this emotion. He knew that it was best for him to avoid any emotional stimulation. Otherwise, it was very likely that he would really fall into the trap of the heart demon. Every cultivator had their own heart demon. The stronger the heart demon, the stranger it was. The only way to suppress the heart demon was to stabilize one's mental state as much as possible. As long as one's mental state was stable, the heart demon wouldn't have any chance to take advantage of it. Hu Yanqiao and Xia Jun also nodded. Yi Fei's demonic appearance had really frightened them. Hu Yanqiao thought for a moment and said, "There's an island up ahead. Vicious beasts are everywhere. It's very convenient to hide." Chapter 8:10. Thirst for Power. The deserted island that Hu Yanqiao discovered was indeed very secretive. Most importantly, there were many vicious beasts here. Even if that group of Xieshio came here again, it would take a lot of time just to deal with the vicious beasts here. This is indeed a good place for cultivation. Wait for me for a while. I'll go into cultivation retreat first. Yi Fei chose a steep cliff and dug out a hole to hide himself inside. It was both secluded and safe for him to cultivate. Hu Yanqiao checked his injuries and smiled bitterly. "I'm seriously injured and need to be treated. Young Master Yi, when we come out, you can ask whatever you want. I'll tell you everything I know." Along the way, the three of them had already exchanged names. As they all had relatives who had been captured by the Star Moon Holy Land, Yi Fei and Hu Yanqiao easily established mutual trust. "Sai, if all of you go to cultivate, then won't I be the only one standing guard outside?" When Xia Jun saw this, his face turned gloomy. He secretly regretted that he should have let Yi Fei be the underling when they came out and he should have been the boss. However, Xia Jun was a reasonable person and knew the severity of the situation. Even if he stayed behind to keep watch, he would not complain. Just as Yi Fei was about to enter to stabilize his state of mind, Xia Jun thought of something and hurriedly handed the space belt to Yi Fei. "Big brother, this is the dimensional belt dropped by the vicious beasts you killed. There should be a lot of treasures in it. I won't share it this time. You should need it more than me," Xia Jun said. "Brother, thanks a lot." Yi Fei's eyes lit up. He did not stand on ceremony with Xia Jun whenever he thought of his younger sister, the Star Moon Holy Land, that devil's den. His heart would burn with anxiety. Right now, he was in dire need of strength. No, strictly speaking, Yi Fei was currently thirsting for power. Only the strongest power would be able to rescue his younger sister from the Star Moon Holy Land. Yi Fei kept this kindness in his heart. When Hu Yanqiao saw Xia Jun's actions, he secretly nodded. Although he didn't get along with Xia Jun, he could tell that Yi Fei and Xia Jun were both emotional people. At the very least, his character was impeccable. Hu Yanqiao also made up his mind and handed the space belt containing the sacred bones to Yi Fei. "Young Master Yi, if you want to stabilize your mind quickly, the fastest way is to refine the sacred bones." The sacred bones were left behind by the martial sage. Each piece of sacred bone contains a trace of the rules of heaven and earth. They are the greatest nemesis of inner demons. As he spoke, Hu Yanqiao actually took out all 10 saint bones and handed them to Yi Fei. This gave Yi Fei and Xia Jun a fright. Xia Jun's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. This middle-aged man is so generous. Could it be that he's up to something? Bullshit. I, Hu Yanqiao, am a righteous person. I'm giving young Master Yi these sacred bones because I hope that young Master Yi will be able to avenge my son when you become strong. Hu Yanqiao said loudly with a red face. Hu Yanchao, you have so many sacred bones and you're also a 10th stage Wu Jun. Why don't you go and avenge yourself? Xia Jun asked again. Yi Fei also felt a little strange. Sigh, do you think that I don't want to help you personally? But I know that with my talent, I'm at my limit. Reaching the Earth Annihilation Realm is my limit. However, young Master Yi, you're different. You have 12 primordial spirit. This is a shocking matter even in the Central State. Only you have the confidence to eliminate those scum from the Star Moon Holy Land. Hu Yanchao's eyes turned red again as he spoke. He steeled his heart and knelt on the ground to kowtow to Yi Fei. Young Master Yi, I won't ask you for anything else. I only ask that you kill all those bastards from the Star Moon Holy Land and avenge my son. If you can agree, not only will I give you these sacred bones, I'll even give you my life. This. Looking at Hu Yanchao's sincere eyes, Yi Fei knew that if he refused, he would be letting down this person's kind intentions. Moreover, when he thought of how the Star Moon Holy Land had deceived him for almost 10 years, a cold glint flashed in Yi Fei's eyes. Big brother Hu, don't worry. My sister has also been captured and taken to the Star Moon Holy Land. Even if you don't beg me, I'll definitely kill all those scum. After saying that, Yi Fei quickly helped Hu Yanchao up. Hu Yanchao also took the opportunity to forcibly stuff the 10 sacred bones into Yi Fei's hands. As if relieved of a heavy burden, he said, Young Master Yi, I believe that you can definitely do it. I'm heavily injured, so I'll take my leave first. Hu Yanchao was indeed heavily injured. First, he was chased by the 7 generals and Xieshio. Then, he continuously used secret techniques to exhaust his primordial spirit. Finally, he was beaten up by Xia Jun, which worsened his injuries. If he did not hurry to treat his injuries, it would be very difficult for him to break through to the earth-shattering Supreme Expert realm in the future. Even maintaining his current cultivation of the 10th layer Wu Jun would be very difficult. Although Yi Fei's situation was not as bad as Hu Yanchao's, Yi Fei's state of mind was already very chaotic after hearing the news of his sister's death. He even almost went berserk. If he did not quickly adjust, it would have a great impact on his future cultivation. On the other hand, Xia Jun did not have the heart to cultivate. He only thought about the great dream of establishing a country of women. Among the 3 of them, he was the most relaxed and did not have to be on guard against the invasion of his inner demons. In the end, Xia Jun could only take on the responsibility of being a lookout. After Yi Fei and Hu Yanchao went in to cultivate, Xia Jun was busy setting up the Martial Path secret realm, quietly hiding this area. Inside the cave, when Yi Fei took out the 10 sage bones, he could clearly feel the undying sword soul in his body calling out to him. Obviously, the power of the sage bones was enough to arouse the undying sword soul's interest. However, Yi Fei did not intend to let the undying sword soul absorb the power of the sage bones. What a joke, the undying sword soul was extremely picky. If he let it absorb the power of the sage bones now, it would not be happy without the sage bones in the future. Wouldn't Yi Fei cry to death? Furthermore, he had no place to find so many sage bones for the undying sword soul to absorb. He forcefully suppressed the undying sword soul. Yi Fei picked up the smallest sage bone and started to use the power of Azura to refine the power of the sage bone. Instantly, the jade-like sage bone exuded a unique aura of the way of the heavens. In the void, Yi Fei could even hear a strange chanting sound. It sounded like a fairy singing, like a divine king chanting. The martial way sage bone is indeed extraordinary. It was left behind by the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage after his death. Not only does it contain the power of heaven and earth that the martial sage cultivated, it also contains a trace of the way of the heavens. Under the way of the heavens, all living beings were ants. Other than the martial gods who had transcended the way of the heavens, even the martial emperors could not escape the influence of the way of the heavens, let alone the inner demons. The power of the sage bone was also beyond Yi Fei's imagination. When Yi Fei finished refining the saint bone and comprehended the power of heaven and earth contained within it, as well as the laws of heaven and earth, his originally unstable state of mind suddenly became tranquil and calm. He was like an old monk meditating. At this moment, Yi Fei was pleasantly surprised to find that with the help of the sage bone, he had actually entered a mysterious state of enlightenment. Regardless of whether it was his understanding of martial arts or the improvement of his state of mind, they were all very significant. In just 3 days, Yi Fei had already discovered that the problem of his foundation being unstable due to his crazy improvement in cultivation had been completely resolved. Chapter 8:11. Jiu Chong Wu Jun. His entire body exuded a boundless glow. This was the glow of the holy Tao, and also the glow of the heavenly Tao. Under the boundless illumination, Yi Fei was like an ancient divine king, sitting cross-legged in the void as he overlooked the world, watched the vicissitudes of life, and listened to the sounds of all living things. At the same time, various mysterious trajectories appeared before Yi Fei's eyes. These were the laws of the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao took from those in excess and made up for those in deficiency. The heavenly Tao is Qian, while the earth is Kuan. This is the heavenly Tao. As long as I can completely merge with the heavenly Tao, I will be able to easily comprehend the power of the earth sword and the heaven sword. Rumble. The heavenly Tao surged like a rushing river, like the singing of gods and demons. Its changes were indefinite and immeasurable. Even though Yi Fei had already comprehended the heavenly Tao, when he really reached out to touch the laws of the heavenly Tao, the pressure of the world suddenly descended mercilessly. Boom! At this moment, the heavenly Tao was enraged, as if it had suffered an intolerable violation. What? Yi Fei suddenly awoke from his state of enlightenment. He had actually been injured by the heavenly Tao just by trying to come into contact with it. It had to be said that his identity as someone who had been abandoned by the heavens was truly unfortunate. If other cultivators were able to see the heavenly Tao, they would be able to comprehend it easily. However, Yi Fei was different. A person who had been abandoned by the heavens was not tolerated by the heavens. It was almost impossible for him to merge with the heavenly Tao. Even though Yi Fei had already defied the heavens and changed his fate, he had only changed his own destiny. It would not be so easy for him to come into contact with the heavenly Tao, or even completely merge with it. Looks like I won't be able to rely on myself to merge with the heavenly Tao in this lifetime. If I want to comprehend the power of the world, and even the laws of the heavenly Tao, my only way is to find enough sage bones and use the power of these martial sage bones to forcefully destroy the heavenly Tao, then comprehend the heavenly Tao. After being rejected by the heavenly Tao once again, this realization flashed across Yi Fei's eyes. Then, he looked at the remaining 9 sage bones. After hesitating for a moment, Yi Fei did not continue to refine these sage bones. I'm only at the 8th layer Wu Jun. It's too wasteful to refine these sage bones. I should wait until I reach the 10th layer Wu, before I combine the power of the sage bones and break through. Pa. Yi Fei stood up in the cave and stretched his body. He realized that his state of mind was unprecedentedly peaceful. With a thought, he formed a sword finger and pointed it forward. The space in the cave suddenly surged with countless ripples. 10% of the Earth Sword's momentum? Yi Fei couldn't believe it. One had to know that he was only at the 8th tier of Wu Jun, and 10% sword force could only be comprehended by the earth-shattering Almighty. Now, he had actually managed to forcefully comprehend it at the 8th tier of Wu Jun. Looks like I still underestimated the power of the sacred bone. Not only did it expel my inner demons, but it also increased my sword force from 5% to 10%. Doesn't that mean that with my current battle strength, I can fight against a first-stage earth-shattering expert? Yi Fei was very surprised. It was different from the ancient era. In the ancient era, resources were plentiful, and geniuses were everywhere. All the ancient era's martial sages only had a total of 12 levels, but it was different now. The current era was the age of decline of the martial path. Large amounts of martial arts had been lost, and martial emperors were hard to come by. Geniuses were dying out, and cultivation resources were nearly exhausted. As a result, people had no choice but to divide the 12 levels of the martial saint realm into even more detailed divisions. For example, the 10 levels of Wu Jun. For example, the 10 levels of earth shattering, and the 10 levels of heaven connecting. In Yi Fei's view, such divisions were a bit complicated. However, this was also the helplessness of martial practitioners in this age of decline. After all, the current martial heaven continent couldn't even compare to the other continents of the ancient era. The decline of our martial heaven continent should be related to the great battle of the ancient era. I once saw with my own eyes that the martial heaven continent's dragon head and tail were all cut off by someone, causing it to lose endless life force and karmic luck. I wonder if it was a martial emperor or a martial god who did it. Yi Fei thought to himself. Then he shook his head with a bitter smile. Right now, he was only at the 8th tier of Wu Jun. Let alone a martial emperor, in front of a martial saint, he was like an ant. Rather than thinking about these complicated matters, he might as well seize the time and cultivate with all his might. In less than a year, my sister's special physique might be taken away by the Star Moon Holy Land. I will not allow such a thing to happen. I must save my sister and make up for my mistakes. Then I will personally destroy this evil Holy Land. Power. I need more power. My cultivation is still too low. I must quickly break through to the earth-shattering realm. Only then will I have a chance of winning when I go to the Star Moon Holy Land. After resting for less than 10 minutes, Yi Fei felt that his mental state had completely stabilized. He no longer hesitated. As he put away the sacred bone, he took Beast General's spatial belt. He opened it. The dazzling light dazzled Yi Fei's eyes. Yi Fei's mouth was wide open. He found it hard to believe that the giant fatty he killed was actually so rich. There were more than 10 million high-grade spirit stones piled up inside. The remaining mid-grade spirit stones and spirit crystals were more than 100 million. Seeing this, Yi Fei's heartbeat couldn't help but accelerate. This beast general is actually so rich. His wealth is so much more than Black Wolf's? They were both generals of the Xiexiosi. Why was there such a huge difference between the two? Yi Fei was very puzzled. Of course, he wouldn't have thought that the giant fatty beast general was the most famous miser in the Xiexiosi. He was known to be able to squeeze oil out of stones. These spirit stones were the wealth that the vicious beasts had accumulated over 100 years. Of course, the amount of spirit stones was extraordinary. This is great. I was just worried that I didn't have enough spirit stones to raise Xiao Chao. These vicious beasts gave me tens of millions of mid-grade and low-grade spirit stones. Now, Xiao Chao won't have to worry about starving. Yi Fei glanced at Xiao Chao, who was still sleeping soundly in the beast mark space. He happily took out all the high-grade spirit stones, a total of 10 million, and began to absorb them crazily. Rumble! Yi Fei released 12 primordial spirit. They formed 12 huge black holes and continuously swallowed the spirit stones to strengthen his primordial spirit. At the same time, he also increased his own cultivation level. Due to the huge commotion caused by his cultivation, even Hu Yanchao, who was cultivating in the cave next door, couldn't stand it. He rushed out of the cave in a panic and said, "Could it be that those Xiexiosi have already found us? This time I, Hu Yanchao, won't be afraid." "Lao Hu, don't be nervous. It's not the enemy. It's Big Brother who is cultivating. TSK. He can even make such a big commotion while cultivating. Big Brother is really abnormal." Xia Jun was on the lookout while roasting meat. Under his feet, the bones of the vicious beasts were left. They were almost submerged under his feet. Yi Fei couldn't help but feel speechless. I'm cultivating desperately inside. You guys are actually roasting meat here? Chapter 8:12. Sun Luo Temple, who said that my foundation is unstable. Refining a sage bone has completely solved the problem of my foundation. Of course, I can continue to break through, Yi Fei explained. What? The sage bone is so useful? Doesn't that mean that with the sage bone, you won't have to worry about your mental state and can continue to break through quickly? Xia Jun's eyes immediately lit up. He almost reached out his hand and asked Yi Fei for the sage bone. How could Yi Fei not know what Xia Jun was thinking? Although the sage bone was very important to him, since he already treated Xia Jun as a brother, Yi Fei would not be stingy with the sage bone. He immediately threw one to Xia Jun. After thinking for a while, he returned one to Hu Yanchao and said, "How can it be so easy? The sage bone is indeed powerful, but if we want to break through, we still have to rely on our own cultivation. Moreover, I have 12 primordial spirit. If I want to break through, I need to consume a huge amount of spirit stones." Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao only just remembered that Yi Fei cultivated with 12 primordial spirit. He was a complete monster. If this news were to spread, it would be enough to make many Central State geniuses faint. Although there were many geniuses in the Central State, most of them were like Xia Jun. Most of them were ordinary geniuses who were 4 levels higher than them. Even in the Central State, there were not many geniuses who could fight 4 levels higher than them. This was also the reason why Hu Yanchao begged Yi Fei to help him take revenge. In Hu Yanchao's opinion, even if Yi Fei's talent could not be compared to the top geniuses in the Central State, the difference would not be too big. Moreover, Yi Fei did not take the sage bone for himself. He was even willing to share it with his brother and return one to him. This undoubtedly proved Yi Fei's character. Hu Yanchao was moved. Suddenly, he thought of something. He reminded Yi Fei very seriously, "Young Master Yi, although the sage bone can greatly increase your strength, you must be careful. Although the Star Moon Holy Land does not have an omnipotent sage, there are many almighty beings. The strongest Holy Master is even a 7th level Great Almighty." 7th level Almighty? My God, that's strange. That Holy Land is so strong. Lao Hu, you are only a 10th level Wu Jun. How did you escape the Star Moon Holy Land? Right, where did you get so many holy bones? After Xia Jun recovered from his shock, a question suddenly flashed across his mind. Holy bone. Hu Yanchao smiled proudly. He pointed at himself and said, "Our East Continent's martial Tao is not very prosperous. However, we have preserved many secret techniques from ancient times. My Hu clan's ancestor was an omnipotent sage-level sacred thief. I relied on my stealing technique to sneak into the Star Moon Holy Land and steal their hidden sage bones. This can be considered as revenge for my child." At this point, Hu Yanchao's eyes turned red again. Yi Fei also sighed. He looked at Hu Yanchao very seriously and said, "Lao Hu, don't worry. The Star Moon Holy Land will not exist for too long. I guarantee that it will be destroyed within a year. If young master can really do it, I, Hu Yanchao, will work like an ox or a horse in my next life to repay young master." Hu Yanchao clenched his fists, filled with hatred. Xia Jun, who was at the side, suddenly slapped his head and said in a deep voice, "Oh no, old Hu, you stole these holy bones from the Star Moon Holy Land. What are we going to do if the Holy Land's almighty expert comes after us?" Hearing this, Hu Yanchao's expression changed. He only thought of revenge, and did not think of this point. Yi Fei said in a deep voice, "As long as you have a clear conscience, no matter what you do, you don't have to regret it. However, we still need to find a safe place to cultivate. Lao Hu, what do you recommend?" Hu Yanchao sighed in relief and nodded. Young Master Yi, if you want to find a safe place, why don't we go to the Sun Luo Temple? The power behind the Sun Luo Temple is very powerful. It is said that even the Holy Court can't do anything to the Sun Luo Temple. The Star Moon Holy Land is just a small holy land. They probably won't dare to make a move in the Sun Luo Temple. Sun Luo Temple? That's good. I am very interested in this place. It just so happens that I also need a large amount of spirit stones. I can make a deal with the Sun Luo Temple. Yi Fei's eyes gradually brightened. Xia Jun worriedly came over and said, Big brother, you can't be thinking of selling the sacred bone, right? That won't do. If you lack spirit stones, I'll give you all my spirit stones. Don't worry, I won't sell the sacred bone. However, there is one thing that the Sun Luo Temple will definitely be interested in. Yi Fei said confidently. Big brother, could it be that you have something even more precious than the sacred bone? Xia Jun became curious. Hu Yanchao also pricked up his ears. There was nothing he could do about it. This was his professional habit. It's a secret. Damn. Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao were very depressed. With the sea map that they had plundered from Black Wolf, this time, Yi Fei and the others didn't have to worry about encountering a fake black market. They quickly flew towards the area of the Xieshio Sea where the storms were the fiercest. Of course Yi Fei, who had left, didn't know that after he had killed General Black Wolf and Beast General, the fleeing Xieshio had already spread his name throughout the entire Xieshio Sea. As the most peaceful area of the Xieshio Sea and the most populated area of the Sun Luo Temple, it was also very lively at this time. On the islands controlled by the Sun Luo Temple, not only were there islands, there were also huge mortal kingdoms. Countless ordinary citizens were going in and out of these places. However, the Xieshio who came to the Sun Luo Temple didn't dare to do anything to these people. Firstly, the Sun Luo Temple was very mysterious. Even the Middle State Holy Institution couldn't do anything to them. How could a small Xieshio offend them? Secondly, the Xieshio often needed to buy cultivation resources. Sometimes, the treasures obtained from killing people were too hot to handle. Even a proper merchant alliance like the Merchant Alliance wouldn't buy them. The Xieshio could only take them to the Sun Luo Temple's black market to sell them at a low price. Therefore, even though the entire Xieshio Sea was filled with killing, the Sun Luo Temple was the only pure land. Every day, a large number of Xieshio would come over to drink and talk about all kinds of news. Have you heard? Recently, a terrifying young expert has come to our Xieshio Sea. I heard that he has 3 heads and 6 arms and specializes in killing people for fun. As soon as he arrived, he killed General Black Wolf and General Vicious Beasts. I've heard about this as well. I heard that this brat is very strange. His sword has an evil aura. The moment he attacks, the heaven and earth will inexplicably mourn. It's simply an evil sword. No way, our Xieshio Sea hasn't had a general die in battle for 100 years. It hasn't even been a month and 2 of them have already been killed? How is it not possible? I heard that the East Devil Ancestor already knows about this. He is furious and has already issued a huge bounty to find the whereabouts of this youth with the evil sword. What? A huge bounty? Where is that youth with the evil sword? If we can find him, won't we be rich? Boom. The news spread and the Xieshio on the island all boiled up. Those who could be Xieshio lived a precarious life. 10,000 low-grade spirit stones were enough for 10 Xieshio to risk their lives to fight for it. The bounty personally issued by the East Devil Ancestor greatly stimulated the greed of these Xieshio. In a flash, countless Xieshio began to use all kinds of evil arts in an attempt to find Yi Fei's whereabouts. On an island in the depths of the evil Cultivator Sea, a devilish woman was half kneeling on the ground. She faced the devilish cave in front of her and reporting to Patriarch East Devil, "We've already released the news. I believe that it won't be long before we find that youth with the demonic sword." Very good. Find him and immediately report. I must obtain those sacred bones. Anyone who dares to compete with me must die. Chapter 8:13. A priceless treasure. The Xieshio were indeed very powerful. It had only been 10 days since the news had spread, but someone had already used sorcery to find out Xia Jun's name. Then, using Xia Jun's name, they were actually able to vaguely determine the direction of Xia Jun. How is that possible? Isn't that the direction of Dark Azura Hall? It can't be, right? Dark Azura Hall? Most of our Xieshio's experts are gathered here. That brat killed 2 of our Xieshio's generals, yet he still dares to come here? The Xieshio's experts refused to believe it. They immediately suspected that something had gone wrong with their sorcery. It was also at this time that Yi Fei's group of 3 appeared near Dark Azura Hall's sea area. Hu Yanchao also respectfully pointed at the huge island in front of them and said, "Young Master Yi, look. That's Dark Azura Hall's island in front of us. No one dares to use force in Dark Azura Hall. As long as we enter, we'll be safe." Dark Azura Hall is really that powerful? Then our trip this time has not been in vain. Yi Fei nodded. Ignoring Xieshio's astonished gaze, he lifted his leg and flew toward the island's building with the words Dark Azura Hall written on it. As the continent's most famous black market, Dark Azura Hall's building was also very imposing. It was directly a palace. When the 3 of them arrived, there were martial artists going in and out of the palace everywhere. Among these martial artists, there were also the dead subordinates of Black Wolf and Vicious Beast. When they saw Yi Fei arrive, these Xieshio's experts were incomparably shocked. It's him. He killed the 2 generals of Black Wolf and Vicious Beast. This brat has guts. He killed our Xieshio's generals and still dares to swagger around and participate in the black market's auction. Quick, tell old ancestor East Devil about the appearance of the youth with the demon sword. This is a great merit. After the Xieshio recovered from their shock, the quick-witted ones immediately rushed out, preparing to inform Forefather East Devil. "Big brother, what should we do? This group of Xieshio seems to have recognized us." Xia Jun was a little worried. "There's nothing to worry about. This is the Sunluo Temple. Even an absolute supreme wouldn't dare to use force here." Hu Yanchao was very confident in the Sunluo Temple. Yi Fei nodded and didn't say anything. Instead, he walked straight into Sunluo Hall. Within the Dark Azura Hall, Wu Jun's 10th layer steward immediately welcomed them with a face full of smiles. "The 3 of you, our hall master has been waiting for a long time. Please." After saying this, the steward didn't say anything else and directly brought Yi Fei's group to the innermost palace of the Sunluo Temple. Yi Fei, Xia Jun, and Hu Yanchao exchanged glances. The 3 of them knew that the Sunluo Temple probably already knew that they had the sacred bone. "Hall Master, young Master Ye's group has been brought here." "Understood. You may leave." A graceful and luxurious middle-aged man stood at the entrance of the palace. He looked very amiable, but his every movement constantly emitted a terrifying aura of heaven and earth. This was definitely an extremely terrifying absolute supreme. This old man is Yu Zhijiang, the hall master of the Xieshio's Sunluo Temple's branch. "The 3 of you have come this time to sell the sacred bone. Don't worry, the Sunluo Temple won't ask about the origin of the sacred bone. As long as you dare to sell it, we will dare to buy it." Yu Zhijiang's tone was very confident. This was confidence in the Sunluo Temple's strength. With just one sentence, he made Hu Yanchao and Xia Jun calm down. Yi Fei also nodded inwardly. Without super strength and confidence, the Sunluo Temple definitely wouldn't dare to say such a thing. However, Yi Fei still shook his head and said in a low voice, "Sorry, I'm not here to sell the sacred bone. I'm here to buy the sacred bone. I want as many as the Sunluo Temple has." Yi Fei's tone was also full of confidence. When this confidence fell into Yu Zhijiang's ears, it meant that Yi Fei didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He sneered in his heart, and the smile on his face faded a lot. How many do you have? How many do you want? Young Master Yi, do you know how many spirit stones one sacred bone costs? Are you sure you can pay such a huge amount of spirit stones? Yu Zhijiang asked. Sorry, I don't have any spirit stones on me right now. Yi Fei shook his head. When Yu Zhijiang heard this, he almost scolded out of anger. You don't have any spirit stones, yet you dare to talk big? If he didn't know that Yi Fei definitely had a sacred bone on him, Yu Zhijiang might have already thrown Yi Fei out. Hu Yanchao and Xia Jun also secretly broke out in cold sweat for Yi Fei. One had to know that the Sunluo Temple was a black shop, and Yu Zhijiang was a very powerful almighty. If they angered the other party, Yu Zhijiang might be able to kill all three of them with one slap. Although I don't have any spirit stones, I have a priceless treasure that can guarantee that any female martial practitioner will scream madly for it. Let's see if the Sunluo Temple can afford it. Yi Fei continued as if he didn't feel Yu Zhijiang's anger. Yu Zhijiang forcefully suppressed his anger and coldly said, in this world, there is no treasure that the Sunluo Temple doesn't dare to accept. Young master, you better know the consequences of boasting in front of the Sunluo Temple. In the end, Yu Zhijiang didn't forget to warn Yi Fei. When Hu Yanchao and Xia Jun heard this, cold sweat dripped down their foreheads. Yi Fei, on the other hand, let out a sigh of relief. There is no treasure that we don't dare to accept. It seems that the Sunluo Temple does indeed have the ability to purchase the pill formula for the ageless pill. What? The pill formula for the ageless pill. You have the pill formula for the lost ageless pill on you. Yu Zhijiang's anger instantly turned into shock. Xia Jun was even more ecstatic. What? Big brother, you have the pill formula for the ageless pill? You must give it to me. It is an important condition for me to establish my womanland. What? Womanland? Yu Zhijiang was once again shocked by Xia Jun. Yi Fei's face immediately darkened. He gave a meaningful glance to Hu Yanchao. Hu Yanchao also felt that Xia Jun's words were too embarrassing, so he simply dragged Xia Jun out. Only Yi Fei and Yu Zhijiang, the hall master of the Sunluo Temple, were left in the palace. Young Master Yi, is what you said true? Do you really have the pill formula for the ageless pill? Yu Zhijiang still didn't dare to believe it. If it's just an incomplete pill formula, the Sunluo Temple won't accept it. Don't worry, it's guaranteed to be complete. It just depends on whether or not you can afford it. Yi Fei lightly said. If you really have the complete pill formula that has been lost, then the Sunluo Temple will pay 100 million high-grade spirit stones and directly purchase it. Yu Zhijiang very domineeringly snorted. Boom. Yi Fei's heart fiercely shook. He didn't expect the ageless pill to be so valuable. He originally wanted to sell it for 10 to 20 million at most. 100 million is a bit too little. Yi Fei's heart was wild with joy, but his expression was still indifferent. Yu Zhijiang couldn't help but want to teach Yi Fei a lesson. 100 million high-grade spirit stones was already a sky-high price. Yi Fei was actually still not satisfied? However, Yu Zhijiang also had a higher opinion of Yi Fei. If it were anyone else, they would have already been frightened by the sky-high price of 100 million. Yi Fei was actually still able to calmly bargain with him. Chapter 8:14. 200 million spiritual stones. Yu Zhijiang had seen countless people, and was very experienced. Usually, he would be able to tell if a person was deceiving him based on the slightest change in their expression and actions. However, what disappointed Yu Zhijiang was that Yi Fei's expression remained indifferent as he lazily nodded his head and said, "Sure." Yu Zhijiang was stunned as he realized that he could not see through this junior. This was the first time. However, seeing Yi Fei's calm demeanor, Yu Zhejiang started to look forward to it. After all, the pill formula of the face-retaining pill was very special. It had a fatal attraction to female practitioners. If such a pill formula could see the light of day in Yu Zhejiang's hands, it would be a great achievement for him as the branch hall master. Men, bring out the heavenly Tao stone. Yu Zhejiang clapped his hands. Very quickly, more than 10 black-robed practitioners walked in, carrying a huge crystal stone tablet. What kind of stone tablet is this? Yi Fei was very surprised. He realized that this thing was similar to the crystal wall, but it was many times more mysterious than the crystal wall. More importantly, such a stone tablet required over a dozen 10th-level martial lords to barely be able to move it. This is the Heavenly Tao Sage Tablet. It was made with the Heavenly Tao Stone. The Heavenly Tao Stone itself contains the laws of the Heavenly Tao. After thousands of years of painstaking effort, the Array Masters were able to create one. The Heavenly Tao Sage Tablet has many uses. It can test one's talent, physique, and even predict one's future. And the Heavenly Tao Sage Tablet of our Sun Luo Hall only has one use. That is to verify the authenticity of pill formulas and martial art. As long as you input the information of the martial arts and pill formulas into the Sage Tablet, the Heavenly Tao Sage Tablet will automatically activate and deduce the authenticity of the martial arts and pill formulas. Don't worry, the Sage Tablet will only deduce and not record it. You don't have to worry about the information being leaked. Yu Zhejiang explained the use of the Heavenly Tao Sage Tablet in detail. Yi Fei was also very surprised. He secretly thought that the vast thousand worlds was indeed full of strange things. On the other hand, Sun Luo Hall, which was a black market, was able to possess a treasure like the Heaven Tao Sage Tablet. It was rather mysterious. After that, Yi Fei followed Yu Zhejiang's request and converted the face-retaining elixir's recipe into a spiritual consciousness and inserted it into the Heaven Tao Sage Tablet. Boom! The Heaven Tao Sage Tablet suddenly began to emit light. Somehow, Yi Fei could feel the Heavenly Tao operating and automatically deducing. Very quickly, 3 clear words appeared on the Heaven Tao Sage Tablet: face-preserving pill. Yu Zhejiang's taut face also revealed a rare touch of pleasant surprise. It really is the face-preserving pill? Good, good, this pill formula has been lost since ancient times. Since the Heaven Tao Sage Tablet can deduce it, this pill formula must be real. Cough cough, little friend, how many spirit stones are you planning to sell this pill formula for? After Yu Zhejiang confirmed the authenticity of the video, he immediately became enthusiastic towards Yi Fei. He was practically burning with passion. One had to know that if such a pill formula could rebuild the world, he, as the hall master of the sub-hall, would definitely be rewarded greatly. He would also receive great benefits. Yu Zhejiang was very excited in his heart. However, other than enthusiasm, there was no trace of excitement on his face. Yi Fei could not help but curse in his heart. Old fox, you want me to bid? How do I know how much this face-preserving elixir is worth? If the price was too high, Sun Luo Hall would not do anything. If the price was too low, wouldn't they be suffering a great loss? Senior Yu, I think you should bid. As a junior, how can I have the nerve to bargain with you? That would be too embarrassing. Yi Fei's face was bashful and serious. Yu Zhejiang's face twitched as he cursed Yi Fei in his heart. If he let Yi Fei bid, he could take advantage of Yi Fei's lack of understanding of the market to lower the price. Now that Yi Fei did not bid, and Yu Zhejiang could not figure out Yi Fei's situation, he could only helplessly give up on the idea of lowering the price. He smiled bitterly. Young Master Yi really cannot be underestimated. How about 200 million high-grade spirit stones? This is already the highest price we can offer. If not for the recent news that the Merchant Alliance seems to have obtained the pill formula for the face-preserving elixir, we would not have offered such a high price. Indeed, although the face-preserving elixir was powerful, it was only attractive to female martial artists. Once the face-preserving elixir reached a certain scale in the future, its price would only continue to drop. Sun Luohal being able to offer 200 million high-grade spirit stones was already a pleasant surprise to Yi Fei. After pondering for a moment, Yi Fei nodded. "All right, 200 million it is. Young Master Yi is indeed straightforward. Then we have a deal." Yu Zhijiang was overjoyed. His previous gloomy appearance swept away. Clearly, even if they were to offer 200 million spirit stones to purchase the face-preserving elixir, Sun Luohal only needed to communicate with the Merchant Alliance beforehand. Both sides would purposely reduce the production of the face-preserving elixir, or simply hide the matter of the face-preserving elixir and sell it as an ancient elixir. This way, those female martial artists who wanted to retain their eternal youth would all go crazy. Even if they did not sell it for 1 billion, 300 to 500 million would still be more than enough. This was also the reason why Sun Luohal was willing to spend 200 million high-grade spirit stones to purchase Yi Fei's pill formula. At the same time, compared to these merchant martial artists like Yi Fei was still a little inexperienced. "Young Master Yi, here are the 200 million high-grade spirit stones and our Sun Luohal's token. With this token, from now on, you will be our Sun Luohal's honored guest. You will be able to auction off any treasure in the black market at a 20% discount." Sun Luohal's efficiency was also very terrifying. Yi Fei had just told Yu Zhijiang the pill formula, and in less than an hour, Yu Zhijiang had already prepared 200 million high-grade spirit stones. He filled up his spatial belt and placed it in front of Yi Fei, along with a VIP token. Yi Fei could not help but be shocked. He understood that Sun Luohal's background was probably even larger than the merchant alliances. Otherwise, they would not have been able to prepare 200 million high-grade spirit stones in just an hour. After putting away the spirit stones and token, Yi Fei thought of another matter. "Oh right, Senior Yu, I need a large amount of sacred bones. How much is Sun Luohal selling them?" Yu Zhijiang smiled and said, "Sun Luohal sells things very simply. We hold a black market auction. No matter what kind of hot treasure it is, the highest bidder will get it. It just so happens that we have an auction here in a few days. Young Master Yi, if you need sacred bones, you can come and participate. However," at this point, Yu Zhijiang deliberately paused and reminded Yi Fei, "Young Master Yi, I heard that you killed the Black Wolf and the Vicious Beasts. They were both subordinates of Forefather East Demon. This person is an earth-penetrating third-stage Almighty. Even if you manage to auction off the sacred bones, you might not be able to protect them. Do you need Sun Luohal to protect you? We also provide bodyguard services, but it's only 1 million high-grade spirit stones a day." "What? 1 million high-grade spirit stones a day? You're just paying it back." When Yi Fei heard this, he could not help but sigh. This Sun Luohal was not just ordinarily black-hearted, but extremely black-hearted. With a bodyguard fee of 1 million high-grade spirit stones a day, he would probably have to cough up all 200 million in less than a month. "Many thanks, Senior. However, it's better to rely on yourself than on others. That East Demon better not provoke me. If he does, he will definitely regret it." Chapter 8:15. Ancestor East Devil Yu Zhijiang wasn't willing to let go of this opportunity to do business. He tried his best to persuade, "Young Master Yi, you should reconsider. You are welcome to visit our Sun Luo temple at any time." "All right, if there is such a possibility, I will definitely come and visit Senior Yu." Yi Fei smiled, but he was cursing in his heart. "Unless water entered my brain, I wouldn't spend 1 million high-grade spirit stones to hire a bodyguard." However, Yu Zhijiang's words still made Yi Fei feel great pressure. After all, Ancestor East Devil was an earth-penetrating third-stage expert. And now, Yi Fei's strength was only at the earth-penetrating 8th stage Wu Jun's. The difference in strength was too great. If Ancestor East Devil attacked him, escaping would be no problem, but if it was a fight, he definitely wouldn't be able to win. Fortunately, I have 200 million high-grade spirit stones. With so many spirit stones, Xiao Chao and I will be able to support ourselves for a while. Yi Fei took his spatial belt and walked out of Sun Luo Temple without looking back. Yu Zhijiang also smiled and insisted on sending Yi Fei to the door. This surprised many of the Xiexio who were paying attention to Yi Fei. How is that possible? Hall Master Yu is an earth-penetrating 7th stage expert. He actually personally sent the demon sword youth out. Where did that brat come from? Who cares where he came from? Ancestor East Devil has already received the news and is definitely on his way. This brat will definitely die a miserable death. Isn't that so? Black Wolf and the Vicious Beasts are Ancestor East Devil's subordinate. This brat killed them just like that. It's simply a slap to Ancestor East Devil's face. Not to mention, he also sold the sacred bones that the two ancestors needed. Within the Xiexio, there was no lack of smart people. They quickly deduced the reason why Yu Zhijiang had personally escorted Yi Fei out. Some people hurriedly passed on this information to old ancestor East Demon through sound-transmitting talismans. After watching Yi Fei leave, a black-cloaked manager of the 10th level of the Martial Lord realm appeared behind Yu Zhijiang. He said in a low voice, "Sub-Hallmaster, we've received news that the East Demon's old ancestor will come to the Dark Azura Hall in the shortest 3 days. Do we need to act and protect this boy's life, and also take back the 200 million spirit stones and saint bones he took away?" Yu Zhijiang coldly glanced at his subordinate and scolded without any trace of politeness, "Short-sighted rat. Do you think someone who can kill Black Wolf and Vicious Beasts is a simple person? Other than those geniuses of the Central State, only this Yi Fei can't be seen through." The steward in black was very shocked. This was the first time he had seen Yu Zhijiang give such a high evaluation of a youth outside of the Central State. He lowered his head in dissatisfaction and said, "Branch Hall Master is right. However, aren't you thinking too highly of this brat?" It's a bit high, but this brat has some background. I'm afraid East Demon alone won't be able to deal with him, but there's also West Demon. However, I heard that old ancestor West Demon unfortunately encountered a dragon turtle a month ago and was heavily injured to the point of near death. Even if he has the heart right now, I'm afraid he's powerless. Let's just wait and see." Yu Zhijiang smiled and walked back to Dark Azura Hall with his hands behind his back. At this time, Yi Fei had also met up with Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao. They found a hotel opened by a martial ancestor and stayed there. Yi Fei instructed Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao, "I'm going to cultivate in seclusion for the next 3 days. Don't run around and wait for me to come out." "Big brother, don't worry. We won't run around." Xia Jun nodded vigorously. Hu Yanchao didn't say anything. He only stared with an ugly expression at the large group of Xiexio who followed closely behind them. "Dear guests, would you like to eat or stay in the hotel?" The martial ancestor realm innkeeper greeted them with a smile. This was Dark Azura Hall. The Xiexio didn't dare to act recklessly. Therefore, normal people and low-level martial artists weren't afraid when they saw Xiexio. The Xiexio also didn't dare to cause trouble in Dark Azura Hall's territory. They only smiled sinisterly and deliberately occupied all the tables and chairs in the inn. Then, they didn't eat. They even brazenly made a throat-slitting gesture at Yi Fei and the other two. It was obvious that these Xiexio were ordered to keep an eye on Yi Fei and the other two. They were also waiting for Patriarch East Demon to arrive. Knowing that they couldn't fight here, Yi Fei couldn't be bothered to care about these people. He simply ignored them and ate and drank with Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao. After eating and drinking to their fill, the three of them returned to their rooms and went into seclusion to cultivate. Yi Fei also made up his mind to use these 3 days to break through to Wu Jun's 10th stage. In any case, He didn't lack spirit stones right now. With a large number of sacred bones, Yi Fei didn't have to worry about breaking through too quickly and causing his foundation to be unstable. Sigh, I wonder how many spirit stones I'll have to waste to break through this time. Yi Fei thought about how he had spent a total of 10 million spirit stones just to break through to Wu Jun's 9th stage. The cost of breaking through to Wu Jun's 10th stage would definitely not be less than this amount. He couldn't help but sigh in despair. His heart ached, but he had no choice but to break through. Boom! During the time when Yi Fei was breaking through to Wu Jun's 10th stage, a huge line suddenly appeared on the sea surface of Sun Luo Temple. Upon closer inspection, it was actually a huge sea serpent. It looked like a flood dragon as it broke through the waves and approached. As it got closer and closer to the island, many Xieshio flying in the sky could clearly see that there were two figures standing on top of the sea serpent's head. One of them had a graceful figure and a kind of seductive beauty. Anyone who saw this woman's Xieshio couldn't help but shudder. Not good, it's the femme fatale. I didn't expect her to come too. Isn't the one standing in front of her forefather East Devil? I didn't expect him to come so quickly. His forefather West Devil is seriously injured and is in seclusion. The Xieshio Sea is now forefather East Devil's world. That brat is definitely dead this time. The Xieshio discussed. None of them dared to block the sea serpent's path. They all landed on the ground and lined up neatly on the island's pier. The moment the sea serpent reached the shore, many Xieshio knelt down in fear. This subordinate greets the forefather. This junior greets forefather East Devil. Welcome to Sun Luo Temple, forefather. Whoosh! The moment forefather East Devil appeared, all the Xieshio on the pier knelt down. Only a few cloaked figures with evil auras whispered angrily. Forefather East Devil is nothing. If it wasn't for our forefather West Devil being injured by the dragon turtle, he wouldn't be so mighty. Lan Mo Xiefeng, Hai Yao, what nonsense are you talking about? Why aren't you kneeling to greet the forefather? All the Xieshio present knelt down except for these few. It was very dazzling, causing the beautiful woman to reveal an angry expression. She held a bone whip and jumped down from the sea serpent to attack. Wait. They are West Devil's generals. Now is not the time for me to fight West Devil. On the sea serpent, forefather East Devil coldly stared at Lan Mo and the others. Suddenly, he pointed at the Xieshio kneeling at the front and coldly asked, "Let me ask you, where are those people right now?" In reply to the forefather, those three people are cultivating in seclusion in an inn in the city. We have been watching them and they didn't run away. The Xieshio trembled in fear as she replied. What did you say? Those three killed two of my generals and swallowed my sacred bone. You actually let them cultivate here in peace? Damn it. Boom. Forefather East Devil was furious. The huge sea serpent behind him also revealed an ominous glint. It stretched its head out and wanted to swallow this 10th layer Xieshio in one bite. Forefather, please spare me. The great 10th layer Wu Jun was so scared that he pissed his pants on the spot. Forefather East Devil looked at him with disdain. Old ancestor East Devil had a look of disdain on his face. He clapped his hand, dug out the man's primordial spirit, and crushed it. You piece of trash. You can't even answer my question. What's the point of keeping your cultivation? Scram to the side and don't ever appear in front of me again. Chapter 8:16. Going tit for tat in the inn. After 3 days, the number of Xieshio in the inn had suddenly decreased. This made Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao feel very strange. What's going on? Why did so many Xieshio leave? Hu Yanchao's expression clearly became serious. Who cares about them? In any case, this is Sun Luo Hall. Even if you give them 100 guts, they wouldn't dare to make a move in Sun Luo Hall. But big brother, it's already been 3 days. Why hasn't he come out yet? Xia Jun said indifferently. Compared to the Xieshio who were monitoring them, he was more concerned about this auction. After all, Sun Luo Hall's black market was very famous in the chaotic ocean. When Xia Jun came out, his father and the elders of the Divine Fist sect secretly gave him a lot of spirit stones so that he could use them to buy treasures in Sun Luo Hall. Why don't we go and remind young Master Yi? Seeing that the auction was about to start, but Yi Fei still hadn't appeared. Hu Yanchao was also a little worried. Okay, then let's go and tell Big Brother. After Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao finished their meal, they went to Yi Fei's cultivation room together. Just as they were about to knock on the door, the entire inn suddenly shook like an earthquake. The Xieshio who were still inside were all shocked. Just as they didn't understand what was going on, a large number of shouts came from outside. Old Ancestor East Devil has arrived. Young Master Devil Sword, East Continent's Thief King, and that passerby, quickly come out and die. Who is the passerby? Who said that? Come out, I guarantee that I won't beat him to death. The appearance of Old Ancestor East Devil frightened Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao. But after the shock, Xia Jun immediately became furious. Why did Yi Fei and Hu Yanchao have such flashy names? He, the dignified young master of the Divine Fist sect, the future empress of a female country, was actually a small shrimp like passerby. Xia Jun was infuriated. He almost rushed up to fight with those shouting Xieshio. Hu Yanchao quickly pulled him back, wanting to persuade him. Boom! Suddenly, the two of them felt their hair stand on end, as if they were being stared at by a venomous snake. Hu Yanchao didn't even dare to move. He just turned his eyes and looked at the man and woman who walked into the inn. The woman exuded a murderous aura, while the man exuded a gloomy aura. The moment he walked in, a pair of viper-like eyes locked onto Hu Yanchao. You're the East Continent's Thief King. Not only did you steal a large number of sacred bones from the Star Moon Holy Land, but you also escaped the pursuit of the Black Wolf vicious beasts. You can be considered to have some ability. Old Ancestor East Devil's tone was very cold. The Snake Beauty, who was standing to the side, shook her bone whip and coldly ordered Hu Yanchao and Xia Jun, Old Ancestor East Devil is here. The two of you, hurry up and kneel down, apologize to the Old Ancestor, and then hand over your sacred bones. Hand over the sacred bones? Do you think we're scared? When Xia Jun discovered that he was actually being treated as a passerby, he was so angry that he forgot his fear of Almighty Che Di. This sentence had already caused Old Ancestor East Devil's great displeasure. He only glanced at Xia Jun, and the entire inn was filled with a terrifying aura of heaven and earth. Under this mountain-like pressure, all the Xieshio who stayed in the inn knelt on the ground in horror. What? Hu Yanchao and Xia Jun refused to kneel. They both endured this terrifying pressure at the same time and were about to be injured. Suddenly, an astonishing sword aura erupted from inside the inn, instantly protecting them. At the same time, the door to Yi Fei's room opened. Yi Fei carried the phoenix blood sword on his back and walked out step by step with a cold expression. How dare you injure my brothers and friends in front of me? Old Ancestor East Devil, aren't you being too presumptuous? Yi Fei coldly looked at Old Ancestor East Devil. Old Ancestor East Devil also coldly stared at Yi Fei. He seemed to be surprised but also seemed to understand. He nodded and said, as expected, heroes come from the young. No wonder you could kill the Black Wolf and the vicious beasts. Wu Jun is only at the 10th stage, yet you were able to comprehend sword aura. The two of them didn't die in vain. Old Ancestor East Devil's words baffled many Xieshio. Wasn't the Old Ancestor here to take revenge? Why was he praising him now? Only a small number of Xieshio, such as Blue Devil and the other Xieshio generals who had come to watch the show, knew that once Old Ancestor East Devil praised someone, that person was basically not far from death. Hee hee, it's been a long time since anyone dared to provoke the two old ancestors in the Xieshio Sea. Let's see how badly this demon sword brat will die this time. The two generals, Xiefeng and Siren, also walked in while chatting and laughing. They didn't care about the hostile atmosphere at all. Brat, I won't make things difficult for you on account of you being a genius. Hand over the sacred bone you took, kneel down, kowtow to me, and admit your mistake. If I'm in a good mood, I might not even kill you. Old ancestor East Devil was incomparably arrogant. Although it was very rare for Yi Fei to comprehend sword aura at the 10th stage of Wu Jun, in the end, old ancestor East Devil was an almighty at the 3rd stage of the earth-penetrating realm. How could he put a brat who had just comprehended sword aura in his eyes? Yi Fei looked at the incomparably arrogant old ancestor East Devil and couldn't help but sigh, "Old Devil, you're too insensible. I originally didn't plan to provoke you, but you actually came to provoke me. Now, scram as far as you can. I'm not interested in wasting time with you." After saying that, Yi Fei lifted his foot and left with Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao. He really didn't plan to pay attention to old ancestor East Devil. This action also caused an uproar among the surrounding Xieshio. Did we hear wrongly? This demon sword brat is so arrogant? He's not even afraid of old ancestor East Devil? He's simply crazy and reckless. He actually dares to tell the old ancestor to scram as far as he can? Not good, let's retreat quickly. This brat is courting death. We don't want to be implicated by him. As soon as Yi Fei said that, the Xieshio quickly retreated after recovering from their shock. At the same time, old ancestor East Devil's sinister aura had already turned into an incomparably huge flame of anger that burned crazily. Brat, what did you just say? Do you dare to repeat what you just said in front of me? Old ancestor East Devil was filled with immense anger. His entire body was burning with demonic flames as he walked towards Yi Fei step by step. Yi Fei stopped in his tracks when he heard that. He looked coldly at old ancestor East Devil and said, "You're asking for it. Then I'll say it again. I told you to scram. You're old and deaf. Hurry up and scram." Awesome, big brother, you're too awesome. You even dare to scold an almighty like this. I'm convinced. Xia Jun looked at Yi Fei with admiration. Junior, you dare to talk back in front of the old ancestor? I'll take your life. Old ancestor East Devil was thoroughly enraged. He had forgotten that this was Sun Luo Temple, a place where martial arts were forbidden. The demonic flames all over his body burned like a torch. At the same time, a chilling aura ruthlessly pressed down. If it was an ordinary 10th stage Wu Jun, just the aura released by old ancestor East Devil would have been enough to kill him on the spot. Yi Fei's lips curled into a sneer. He didn't dodge or evade, only coldly looking at old ancestor East Devil. Old ancestor East Devil suddenly felt that something was wrong. Something's not right. This brat is deliberately angering me without putting up a defense. Could it be that he wants to commit suicide? Of course, Yi Fei wouldn't commit suicide. He was only waiting for someone to appear. That person would soon appear. Just as old ancestor East Devil was about to kill Yi Fei on the spot, an even more terrifying aura suddenly appeared in the inn. Chapter 8:17. The Black Market Auction. Another person suddenly appeared in the inn. It was the Sunluo Hall's branch hall master, Yu Zhijiang. The East Devil Patriarch had always been arrogant, but when he saw Yu Zhijiang, his expression changed. It was because he was only at the 3rd level of the earth-piercing realm, while Yu Zhijiang was at the 7th level. He was 4 levels higher than him. Yu Zhijiang, this is a grudge between me and this brat. Your Sunluo Hall has always been neutral. Why are you interfering this time? Asked the East Devil Patriarch. Hearing this, Yu Zhijiang sneered. Old ancestor East Devil, to think that you're aware of our Dark Azura Hall. Have you forgotten our rules? Wherever the Dark Azura Hall is, martial arts are prohibited. Are you trying to make an enemy of our Dark Azura Hall? At this moment, Yi Fei smiled and cupped his hands toward Yu Zhijiang. Senior Yu, it's hard to say. Perhaps he's gotten used to being flattered by others, and his ambition has swelled. He might really want to replace the Sunluo Hall. Brat, shut your mouth. If you hadn't provoked me first, I wouldn't have attacked you in anger. The East Devil Patriarch was furious. If he still didn't understand that he had fallen for Yi Fei's scheme, then he would have been an ancestor for nothing. The East Devil Patriarch had an urge to tear Yi Fei apart. However, when he saw Yu Zhijiang's gloomy expression, he felt a chill in his heart. If the Merchant Alliance was a large merchant alliance, then the Sunluo Hall was a super black market that spread throughout the continent. Its power was even more mysterious. Even the Central Plains Sacred Academy was unable to destroy the Sunluo Hall. They could only tacitly accept its existence. Even if the East Devil Patriarch had 10 times more guts, he wouldn't dare to have any ideas about the Sunluo Hall. He could only gloomily explain, Hall Master Yu, I was wrong just now. I guarantee that I won't cause trouble in the Sunluo Hall. Over there, shameless thief, if you have the guts, come out to sea with me. In his fury earlier, Yi Fei had almost caused him to become enemies with the Dark Azura Temple. The veins on his forehead were bulging. Only by killing Yi Fei would he be able to vent his anger. That's for the best. The Sunluo Temple will not interfere with your grievances. However, if anyone dares to fight in the Sunluo Temple, we will kill them even if they are the Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. Yu Zhijiang snorted coldly. Suddenly, he looked at Yi Fei and said meaningfully, Young Master Yi, what this old man said before still counts. It's not too late for you to reconsider. Thank you for your concern, Hall Master. However, I'll kill as many old demons as he comes. Yi Fei thanked Yu Zhijiang, but still refused. Yu Zhijiang could not see through Yi Fei. When he discovered that Yi Fei had used the Dark Azura Temple to trick the East Demon Patriarch, Yu Zhijiang thought that Yi Fei had finally thought things through and wanted to borrow the Dark Azura Temple's protection. That way, he could easily earn back the 200 million high-grade spirit stones he had given away. In the end, Yi Fei still refused. Yu Zhijiang could not understand where Yi Fei's confidence came from. He dared to face an earth-shattering level 3 expert as a Wu Jun level 10 expert. Young Master Yi, you're on your own now. Yu Zhijiang could not understand, but he was too lazy to think about it. The auction is about to begin. Everyone is welcome to come and support us. Before leaving, Yu Zhijiang did not forget to hype up the upcoming auction. Unfortunately, no one paid attention to him. Everyone's focus was on Yi Fei and the East Demon Patriarch, especially when they saw Yi Fei threaten to kill the East Demon Patriarch. It was not only the Xieshio present who were in an uproar. They all thought that Yi Fei was either crazy or an idiot. Blue Devil and the other Xieshio generals also shook their heads and disdainfully said, Wu Jun level 10 expert actually wants to challenge an earth-shattering level 3 expert. This person really doesn't know how to write the word death. Ha brat, you've got guts. In the next 100 years, no one will dare to speak to the Patriarch like that. You're the first, and you'll definitely be the last. Get out here. The Patriarch wants to see how you'll kill me. The East Demon Patriarch was so angry that he laughed. Only his eyes were as sinister as a viper's. His entire body was covered in a huge demonic flame. It was like a torch, like a demonic snake, emitting a sinister and bloody aura. Even if you want to die, you don't have to do it so quickly. I'm still in a hurry to attend the auction. If you have the guts, wait here and don't run. After I'm done with the auction, I'll come and kill you. Yi Fei said without showing any weakness. In the past, Yi Fei had been very low-key. But when facing the East Demon Patriarch, Yi Fei was very strong. He was like a sharp sword that revealed its sharpness. His sister's encounter also made Yi Fei's heart burn with anger. If the East Demon Patriarch didn't know what was good for him, Yi Fei wouldn't mind venting his anger on him first. Xia Jun, Lao Hu, let's go. In the end, Yi Fei ignored the anger of countless Xie and the extremely tyrannical gaze of the East Demon Patriarch. He took Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao and really ran to the auction. At this time, Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao were full of admiration for Yi Fei. Perhaps only Yi Fei would have the guts to look down on a powerhouse like this and leave him hanging. Watching Yi Fei leave, Patriarch East Demon's face turned the color of a pig's liver. He clenched his teeth, and a huge demonic flame that was more terrifying than a tsunami erupted from his body. Good, 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 good. Just you wait. When the auction is over, if I don't skin you alive and torture you for 100 years, I won't be called East Demon. Let's go. Looking at the magnificent palace, the East Demon Patriarch didn't have the guts to make a move here. He could only sullenly walk into the auction with his only subordinate. Blue Devil's face fell. Crap, he said. Patriarch East Devil is definitely here for the holy bones. Patriarch West Devil told us to get them. If they are all taken away by the East Demon Patriarch, the West Demon Patriarch will blame us. Kiki, so what if he blames us? Who told him to be so unlucky? He went to provoke that dragon turtle. He's lucky that he didn't die. We'll do our best. The Sea Demon General was incomparably cold. The two evil cultivators, Blue Devil and Evil Wind, looked at each other and pretended that they hadn't heard the Sea Demon's words. However, their hearts were gradually burning with passion. Hey, did you hear? That youth with the demonic sword said that he'll kill the East Demon Patriarch after the auction. Is that true? The East Demon Patriarch has dominated the Xieshio Sea for hundreds of years and is a third-level Earth extermination expert. Who would be crazy enough to say such a thing? In short, it's a reckless lunatic. The show has begun. Brothers, don't miss it. Let's see how that brat dies. Right, the two ancestors haven't fought for at least 50 years. This time, we'll broaden our horizons. We can't miss it. I'll go inform my friends. The confrontation between Yi Fei and the East Demon Patriarch caused a huge commotion in the entire Xieshio Sea. Aside from the heavily injured East Demon Patriarch, the other Xieshio 7 generals and a large number of martial artists all gathered their friends and rushed to the island where the Dark Azura Hall was located. However, in a short 4 hours, there were already over 1 million cultivators gathered on the island outside the Sunluo Temple. Most of them were martial lords, and there were also several hundred half-step almighties. It was simply an unprecedented scene, and it made Yu Zhejiang so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. It was the first time in the evil cultivator ocean that so many cultivators came to the black market to support. Chapter 8:18. The atmosphere was tense. Yi Fei and the other two walked into the auction. With their VIP tokens, they quickly found 3 seats closest to the auction items and sat down. Only Yi Fei could remain calm. Seeing Yi Fei teasing an absolute realm expert outside, Xia Jun's Hu Yanchao was so scared that his heart was thumping. Hu Yanchao was even more worried. Young Master Yi, is it really okay for us to offend an absolute realm expert like this? What? Are you worried that I can't deal with that old demon? Don't worry. Even if I can't beat him, I'm still confident that I can bring you guys away. Yi Fei was very calm. Haha, Lao Hu, don't worry. You haven't seen Big Brother's running ability. I'm sure you'll be shocked. Xia Jun also smiled and comforted Hu Yanchao. He remembered Yi Fei's powerful secret technique outside the Divine Fist Gate. Therefore, Xia Jun also rubbed his palms and waited for the auction to begin. Seeing Yi Fei so calm and thinking of Yi Fei's terrifying 12 primordial spirits, Hu Yanchao was also relieved. As the black market auction began, a large group of Xieshio rushed in like a tide. When he saw Yi Fei and the other two occupying the 3 best seats, East Devil Patriarch's face immediately turned ashen. One had to know that 2 of the 3 seats were reserved for East Devil Patriarch and West Devil Patriarch. The remaining seat was reserved for Central State's geniuses. Usually, even if the 2 patriarchs didn't come, no Xieshio would dare to sit in one of the 3 seats. Now Yi Fei and the other 2 had occupied all 3 seats. East Devil Patriarch's eyes were filled with crazy killing intent. The other 7 generals also didn't like Yi Fei. They found the Sunluo Temple's steward and scolded him. "What's wrong with you guys? Do you think anyone can sit on those 3 seats? Tell them to scram down immediately. Everyone, this won't do. Young Master Yi has the VIP token, so he has the right to choose which seats to sit on." The Dark Azura Hall steward smiled apologetically. Many of the heretical cultivators present were shocked. In the sea of heretical cultivators, outside of the East Devil Ancestor, only the West Devil Ancestor would be able to obtain a VIP badge. How could this youth with the evil sword obtain such a badge? Could it be that this brat really sold all those Saint Bones? If that's the case, then no matter how strong this kid is, the 2 patriarchs will definitely not let him off in the Xieshio Sea. Hearing the Xieshio's discussion, East Devil Patriarch's expression also changed. He gritted his teeth and stared at Yi Fei, sneering, "Brat, no wonder you can obtain the protection of Temple Lord Yu. You actually dared to take out my Saint Bones to auction? Your Saint Bones. It seems like you're really old and your brain has become muddled." Yi Fei shook his head and sighed with a regretful expression. East Devil Patriarch was so angry that the devilish flames on his body ignited. It also scared the Xieshio into retreating, afraid that he would take his anger out on them. This is my Sin Luo Temple. Patriarch East Devil, if you want to auction, then I welcome you. If you want to cause trouble, then forgive me for not entertaining you. At this time, Yu Zhijiang's figure had appeared on the auctions stage at an unknown time. East Devil Patriarch unwillingly restrained his anger and cupped his hands at Yu Zhijiang. "Don't worry, Temple Lord Yu. I won't make a move in Sin Luo Temple, but as long as this brat leaves, I'll take his life." Kiki. With a sinister smile, East Devil Patriarch could only choose to sit down in a lower seat. After him were Blue Devil and the other Xieshio generals, as well as the large number of Xieshio who had entered to watch the show. "That's for the best. Everyone, because Saint Bones have appeared in this auction, I'll be hosting it," Yu Zhijiang said indifferently. The Xieshio below the stage went into an uproar. The veins on East Devil Patriarch's forehead turned into earthworms, covering his sinister face. He naturally thought that Yi Fei had taken out all the Saint Bones to auction. There really are Saint Bones for auction? Sun Luo Temple is indeed not simple. Yi Fei's eyes lit up. He had already made up his mind to get the Saint Bones. This was the key to increasing the power of his Earth Sword. Now we'll auction the first item, the remnant talent crystal of an earth-penetrating 10th layer expert. After refining it, it can increase the quality of that person's Dantian to Heaven Grade 10. The starting price is 1 million high-grade spirit stones. Yu Zhijiang began hosting the auction. The first item of Sen Luo Temple caused an uproar. Every Xieshio's breathing became hurried. Although the quality of the Dantian couldn't increase a cultivator's battle strength, it could greatly increase their cultivation speed. Looking at the talent crystal, Xia Jun couldn't take his eyes off it. His breathing quickened as he said, "This is the treasure. My father gave me spirit stones to increase my talent. I'll take it. I'll bid 103 million. Suddenly, a voice interrupted Xia Jun's words. Lan Mo stood up from his seat and coldly swept his gaze across the Xieshio. "This treasure belongs to me, Lan Mo. I ask everyone to give me some face." "Haha, so it's General Lan Mo who wants this treasure. Then let us congratulate General Lan Mo." The Xieshio forced a smile, but in their hearts, they were crazily cursing Lan Mo's 18 generations of ancestors. Xia Jun gritted his teeth and also threw caution to the wind. 5 million. This was all the spirit stones he had on him. You, a 7th layer Wu Jun, dare to compete with me? 7 million. Lan Mo glared at Xia Jun furiously, as if he wanted to kill someone. Xia Jun's face immediately fell. It's over. I don't have that many spirit stones left. 10 million, Yi Fei said calmly. He looked at Lan Mo and said, this is a black market auction. Regardless of cultivation level, whoever offers the highest price wins. Many Xieshio were shocked, but they nodded inwardly. It wasn't that they didn't have spirit stones, but because Lan Mo was one of Patriarch West Demon's people, they didn't have the guts to bid. You. Fine. Even if Patriarch East Demon can't kill you, I, Lan Mo, will definitely not let you go. Lan Mo's face turned extremely ugly. 10 million. Even the generals of the Xieshio Sea couldn't afford it. He had no choice but to give up. But because of this, Lan Mo hated Yi Fei. Yu Zhijiang was also a little surprised. 10 million going once. If no one bids, then this talent crystal will belong to young Master Yi. Patriarch East Demon had long been unhappy with Yi Fei. At this time, he naturally wanted to ruthlessly humiliate Yi Fei. Hee, what bullshit, young master. He's just a dead man. What use does he have for this treasure? I'll bid 20 million. Xia Jun was furious. He naturally knew that Yi Fei was helping him by bidding. Who knew that Patriarch East Demon would be so shameless as to interfere? 30 million. Yi Fei didn't even blink as he bid again. This also caused a commotion among the Xieshio present. Patriarch East Demon was also a little surprised. Then, he smiled sinisterly and said, Good, good. You actually have so many spirit stones on you. It seems that after killing you, I'll be able to earn a lot. 50 million. Patriarch East Demon was incomparably heroic. The moment he opened his mouth, everyone was intimidated. No one dared to respond. Yi Fei was also shocked. It was obvious that Patriarch East Demon had a lot of spirit stones. Thinking that he only had 200 million on him and that he still had to compete for the sacred bone later, if he spent his battle chi now, he would fall into Patriarch East Demon's trap. Yi Fei helplessly threw an apologetic look at Xia Jun. Xia Jun, it seems that I can't help you for the time being. It's fine. Xia Jun shook his head gloomily. Chapter 8:19. I'll take it all. Curry favor with you? Old devil, it seems like you've really gone senile. I won't bid against you because there's no need to. Anyway, once I kill you, that talent crystal will return to me. I'll thank you in advance for keeping it safe for me. After saying that, Yi Fei really stood up and expressed his gratitude to Forefather East Devil. This also caused an uproar among the Xieshio as they looked at Yi Fei in disbelief. Crazy, this brat has really gone crazy. He actually dares to speak to the Forefather like this? Humph, maybe he knows that death is near and is purposely going crazy. This is called madness before death. The Xieshio discussed among themselves. After hearing Yi Fei's words, Forefather East Devil was so angry that black smoke came out of his head. He originally wanted to humiliate Yi Fei, but in the end, he was ridiculed by Yi Fei instead. This was definitely the biggest humiliation Forefather East Devil had ever experienced since he dominated the Xieshio Sea. His face was ashen from anger, and the devilish flames on his body began to burn like a torch. However, Forefather East Devil didn't flare up. His expression quickly returned to normal as he coldly said, I don't want to bother with someone who's about to die. Continue the auction. The next item is a martial art manual. The auction proceeded in an orderly manner. All kinds of treasures emerged one after another. Many of them had obvious bloodstains on them. It was obvious that they were taken directly to the Sun Luo Temple to be auctioned off after killing someone. This also thoroughly aroused the Xieshio's enthusiasm. Almost every treasure was sold at a very high price. One of the treasures even attracted Hu Yanchao's attention. Yi Fei followed Hu Yanchao's gaze and found that it was a small and exquisite saber. It could be considered a strange weapon. Yu Zhijiang introduced, "This is the exquisite Saint Saber. It belongs to a disciple of the Azure Dragon Sacred Institution. The starting bid is 10 million. Boom. Yu Zhijiang's words caused the Xiexiu's enthusiasm to reach its peak. Yi Fei was also very shocked. The Sun Luo Temple actually dared to openly auction a weapon belonging to a disciple of the sacred institution. From this, one could see how powerful the power behind the Sun Luo Temple was. 30 million. This time, Yi Fei did not give anyone a chance to bid. He directly raised the price to 30 million, which scared the Xiexiu so much that their expressions changed. 50 million. Old Ancestor East Devil didn't even blink. This was sufficient proof of the enormous savings of this old devil. This was clearly going against Yi Fei. Yi Fei could only smile bitterly at Hu Yanchao and say, "Lao Hu, it seems that I can't help you for the time being. Haha, that saber is only temporarily in the care of that old demon. I believe that young Master Yi will get it back for me very soon." Hu Yanchao finally let go of his inhibitions and cracked a rare joke. Of course, in Hu Yanchao's eyes, his words were just a joke. However, Yi Fei took it seriously. The sacred bones that Hu Yanchao had given him were priceless. Yi Fei had never had a chance to repay him. Therefore, he decided that he must get that sacred saber and give it to Hu Yanchao as compensation. "Lao Hu, don't worry. That sacred saber will definitely belong to you in a day at the latest," Yi Fei said very seriously. "Ignorant junior, you only know how to spout nonsense. This old ancestor wants to see how you will kill me." Humph. Old Ancestor East Devil's face was full of disdain. He was too lazy to argue with Yi Fei. His gaze was quickly attracted by two items. All the Xiexiu's gazes were also fixed on the two treasures that had been placed on the auction stage. They were two sacred bones. Sacred bones left behind by a martial saint. I can't be bothered to give an extra introduction. The starting price is 10 million. Begin the bidding. After Yu Zhijiang finished speaking, he walked to the side. Yi Fei's spirit shook. "I must get these two sacred bones." Old Ancestor East Devil's face lit up as he laughed wildly. "Hee kid, you won't have that chance. These sacred bones. I want both of these sacred bones. 100 million. Yi Fei did not give Old Ancestor East Devil a chance to speak. He directly opened his mouth and said 100 million. Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao were so scared that their bodies trembled. How could Yi Fei have so many spirit stones? "Big brother, how many spirit stones did you sell for that face-retaining pill formula?" Xia Jun asked curiously. "Not a lot. Only 200 million. Yi Fei said gloomily. He did not feel it when he sold it, but after thinking about it, he felt that he had made a loss. What? 200 million? Oh my God! Even if there were 10 divine fist sects, they would still be able to take out so many upper-grade spirit stones. Because he was too shocked, Xia Jun accidentally fell down along with his chair. Hu Yanchao was also shocked and tongue-tied. He was speechless for a long time. If they were already in such a state, there was no need to mention the other heretic cultivators. All of them were so shocked that they were speechless. This was what it meant to be rich and overbearing. The starting price was only 10 million, but Yi Fei had opened his mouth and asked for 100 million. How could the others have a good time? Lan Mo and the others were so angry that smoke was coming out of their 7 orifices. Although the sacred bones were worth about this price, Yi Fei had called out such a high price from the beginning. They did not even have any room to turn around. 110 million. General Lan Mo continued to shout, but his voice was very low. Everyone could tell that these generals under the old ancestors' command were lacking in confidence. The old ancestor had only given them 9,000 high-grade spirit stones at most. In order to prevent them from pocketing or running away, he had given each of them 30 million spirit stones. As for the remaining spirit stones, L'Animo and the others had to pay for it themselves. Old Ancestor East Devil's face turned even uglier when he heard this. He couldn't help but glare at L'Animo and the others and say, "It seems that old man Xie is also determined to obtain the Saint Bones. Unfortunately, these Saint Bones belong to me. Anyone who dares to compete with me will be my mortal enemy." 13 million. Old Ancestor East Devil was really rich. He directly increased the price by 20 million. This also made L'Animo and the others sad. They understood that they could not compete with Old Ancestor East Devil in terms of financial resources. They could only give up helplessly. Congratulations to Old Ancestor for obtaining the sacred bones and achieving great success. There were already some Xieshio who knew what was good for them. They shouted loudly and began to flatter Old Ancestor East Devil. 150 million. Yi Fei suddenly opened his mouth again and said this shocking price. Those Xieshio who were flattering him immediately froze in place awkwardly. The veins on Old Ancestor East Devil's forehead throbbed crazily like poisonous snakes crawling on his face. What? 150 million? Brat, not only are you arrogant, you even dare to talk big. Even I, who have dominated for hundreds of years, can only take out 130 million. How can you take out 150 million? You are clearly making a random bid. Random bid? Old man, if you don't have the money, then stop shouting here. Whether I have that many spirit stones or not is not up to you. It is up to Senior Yu. Yi Fei stood up coldly. He could not merge with the power of heaven and earth. The sacred bones were the only way for him to improve his sword force. Yi Fei would not easily give up on any sacred bones. Chapter 820. Breakthrough on the spot, you me. East Devil Ancestor was dumbfounded. Even if he was beaten to death, he would never have thought that Yi Fei would have so many spirit stones. He couldn't help but secretly regret that he shouldn't have spent so much money to suppress Yi Fei. Now, he could only watch as Yi Fei took away the sacred bones. East Devil Ancestor was so angry that his eyes were about to spit out flames. In the end, he didn't continue to bid. Instead, he sat down and coldly snorted, staring at Yi Fei with malice. Brat, thank you for helping me bid for these 2 sacred bones. You must take care of them. Once you leave Dark Azura Hall, I will personally come and take them away, along with your life. Without a doubt, Yi Fei's action of snatching the holy bone had infuriated Old Ancestor East Devil. He had originally planned to capture Yi Fei alive and torture him for 100 years. But now, Old Ancestor East Devil wanted nothing more than to immediately grind Yi Fei's bones into dust to vent the anger in his heart. The surrounding Xieshio finally understood and looked at Yi Fei with sympathy. Most of them were rejoicing in his misfortune, hoping that East Devil Ancestor would make his move sooner. At this time, even Yu Zhijiang couldn't understand Yi Fei. Considering that Yi Fei still had a large number of sacred bones, he couldn't help but transmit his voice to Yi Fei again. Little friend, you must think carefully. Offending East Devil Ancestor now is not a wise move. You still have a chance to ask for our Dark Azura Hall's protection. Many thanks, Senior. However, since this old devil wants to die, I'll fulfill his wish. Yi Fei transmitted his thanks to Yu Zhijiang. Then, he looked at East Devil Ancestor without showing any weakness and said, You want these 2 sacred bones? Of course. Leave them behind and kill yourself. If I'm in a good mood, I'll let your 2 friends go. East Devil Ancestor was arrogant, thinking that Yi Fei was afraid. Yi Fei shook his head and sighed. Communicating with an arrogant old devil like you is really difficult. What I want to tell you is that you can forget about obtaining these 2 sacred bones. I've already decided to refine them on the spot. Boom. After saying that, Yi Fei ignored Xiexio's shocked and fearful eyes and sat down cross-legged. He crushed one of the sage bones with his bare hands and activated the God of War Dao and the demonic Emperor Sutra at the same time. He refined the two sage bones in front of everyone. During the refining process, Yi Fei could clearly feel the power of heaven and earth contained in the saint bone turning into a strange energy that surged into his limbs and bones. In the end, it merged into the demonic sword formed by the devouring sword intent. Suddenly, a terrifying sword aura emanated from Yi Fei's body, continuously increasing the power of the sword aura. The evil cultivators were in an uproar when they saw this scene. No one had expected Yi Fei to be so crazy as to refine the sacred bone right in front of everyone right after he bought it. Yu Zhijiang, the sub-hall master, was already dumbfounded. Old Ancestor East Devil was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of demonic blood 10 meters away. Then, he went berserk on the spot. "Junior, you're courting death. You damned bastard, give me back my sage bone." Old Ancestor East Devil's primordial spirit went berserk. Like a violent viper, it opened its mouth and bared its fangs. He couldn't wait to tear Yi Fei to shreds. The other Xiexio were also cursing angrily. "Bastard, madman, shameless bastard. How dare you use such a method to toy with Old Ancestor East Devil? Crazy, this guy is completely crazy. Who doesn't know that Old Ancestor East Devil's divine art requires the sage bone to reach greater completion? This kid actually refined the sage bone right in front of the Old Ancestor. Ah, Junior, die for me." Boom. Old Ancestor East Devil went completely crazy. He was so angry that his teeth were about to shatter. He didn't care that this was the Sun Luo Temple and wanted to kill Yi Fei. Only then did Yu Zhijiang regain his wit. He secretly complained that Yi Fei's move was too despicable and insidious. It actually angered him so much that he lost his mind. However, complaining was useless. The Sun Luo Temple was a forbidden ground. Yu Zhijiang definitely wouldn't allow Old Ancestor East Devil to fight in the Sun Luo Temple. "Old Ancestor East Devil, stop right now." Yu Zhijiang snorted and released all of his cultivation without holding back. The restless Xiexio were all suppressed on the spot. Old Ancestor East Devil was also shocked and looked at Yu Zhijiang in shock. "Hall Master Yu, we've underestimated you. You're not at the 7th level, but the 8th level. Since you know my strength, you'd better stop. If you break the rules of the Sun Luo Temple, even if you're the omnipotent Great Sage, the Sun Luo Temple will kill you." As Yu Zhijiang spoke, his aura suddenly became extremely sinister. It was as if he was surrounded by a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. It was terrifying. Even someone as savage as Ancestor East Demon could not help but narrow his eyes when he sensed Yu Zhijiang's fury. He immediately withdrew his Yuan spirit and snorted coldly while suppressing his anger. "All right, Hall Master Yu, I'll give your Dark Azura Hall some face. Kid, I'll wait for you in the Outer Sea. If you have the guts, don't leave the Sun Luo Temple for the rest of your life. Let's go." Old Ancestor East Devil left the Sun Luo Temple with great anger under the escort of countless Xiexio. Then, he immediately sat down in the sky outside the island. At the same time, he widened his eyes like a poisonous snake staring at its prey, waiting for Yi Fei to appear. Inside the Sun Luo Temple, Yi Fei smiled bitterly when he felt Old Ancestor East Devil's anger. He had refined the sacred bones on the spot because he was angry. However, he had underestimated the power of the two sacred bones. Such power was enough to cause a half-step Almighty's body to explode. Fortunately, Yi Fei had cultivated the power of Azura and the power of the War Demon at the same time. He also had the undying sword soul in his body, which could suppress the berserk power of heaven and earth in the sacred bones. Even so, The power of heaven and earth around Yi Fei became more and more terrifying as he refined the sacred bones. Even the void rippled under the power of heaven and earth emitted by the sacred bones. Oh no, if I let the power of heaven and earth go on like this, I won't be able to absorb the power of the sacred bones. I might even explode from the pressure. I have no choice but to break through by force. A look of helplessness flashed across Yi Fei's eyes. He had only broken through to the 10th level of Wu Jun 3 days ago. He shouldn't have tried to break through to the absolute realm now. However, he had no choice. If he didn't break through now, he would be in danger of self-destruction. At this moment Yi Fei couldn't care less. With a low roar, he suddenly released all the high-grade spiritual stones he had on him, a total of 150 million. Boom! The War God Path and the Devil Emperor Sutra were channeled to the limit at the same time. Yi Fei's body suddenly turned into a huge black hole in the void. It emitted a boundless suction force and crazily absorbed the power of the spiritual stones. This also shocked the stewards of the Sun Luo Temple. This kid doesn't want to live anymore. He wants to use the spiritual stones to forcefully become an absolute realm almighty. Damn it, this kid bought the sacred bones and didn't pay. According to the rules of the Sun Luo Temple, we can kill him immediately. Seeing Yi Fei's actions, the stewards of the Sun Luo Temple all revealed murderous intent and wanted to rush up to stop Yi Fei. Chapter 821. Against East Demon, what are you doing? What are you doing? Who said we weren't going to pay? Hu Yanchao immediately took out the sacred bone that Yi Fei had returned to him. If you want to disturb my big brother's cultivation, you'll have to pass through us first. Xia Jun also had a determined expression. He and Hu Yanchao blocked the path of these Wu Jun stewards. These stewards had awkward expressions, but when they saw that Hu Yanchao still had the sacred bone in his hand, they restrained their killing intent. They only asked Yu Zhijiang for instructions. Branch Hall Master, what do you think? Should we kick him out? In the end, this was Dark Azura Hall. It wasn't a place where Yi Fei was breaking through. Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao also became nervous. If Yu Zhijiang made a move, the two of them definitely wouldn't be able to stop him. This old man will give you one day. After one day, regardless of whether you succeed or not, you must pay the spirit stones and leave Dark Azura Hall. Yu Zhijiang hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he didn't stop Yi Fei. In the end, Dark Azura Hall only stipulated that martial arts couldn't be used, but they didn't say that others weren't allowed to break through here. However, Yi Fei actually broke through in public. Even Yu Zhijiang, the branch hall master, felt very speechless. He simply flicked his sleeves and turned to leave. Dark Azura Hall's Wu Jun stewards were very shocked. It was still that black-robed steward who silently appeared in front of Yu Zhijiang. Branch Hall Master, if you tolerate that brat like this, I'm afraid that the CSOC's martial practitioners will be dissatisfied. So what if they're dissatisfied? Can't you see that brat is a rare genius in the Central State? The rarest thing is that he doesn't seem to have joined any large faction. This kind of talent might be useful to us, Yu Zhijiang calmly explained. The black-robed steward finally understood. Yu Zhijiang wanted to rope Yi Fei into Dark Azura Hall. He immediately said in admiration, as expected of a branch hall master. However, this brat has offended old ancestor East Demon. Do you think we should act when the time is right? Let's wait and see. If this kid can escape from East Demon's hands, it won't be too late to rope him in. If he can't escape, then there's no need to waste any more time. Yu Zhijiang snorted coldly and left the auction house. Only then did Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao breathe a sigh of relief. However, they didn't dare to be careless. They still stood on both sides to protect Yi Fei. Lao Hu, do you think Big Brother can break through to the earth-penetrating realm in a day? Xia Jun was a little worried. After all, Yi Fei had just broken through to the 10th stage Wu Jun not long ago. It should be possible. Don't underestimate the use of the sacred bone. In theory, as long as he has the sacred bone and enough spiritual stones, young Master Yi can continue to break through with his talent, Hu Yanchao said with certainty. Boom. Just as the two of them were talking, the spiritual energy accumulated in Yi Fei's body had reached the maximum level. Although Yi Fei had 12 primordial spirits, it was 12 times harder for him to break through compared to other warriors. However, Hu Yanchao was right about one thing. The sacred bone was indeed very powerful. The sacred bone could suppress one's inner demons and stabilize one's foundation. In theory, as long as there were enough sacred bones and spiritual stones, a warrior could continue to break through rapidly. Yi Fei was in such a situation. 2 sacred bones and 100 million upper spiritual stones. Even though he had 12 primordial spirits, Yi Fei, who was immersed in cultivation, felt his body tremble after half a day. Immediately, he emitted a powerful force that swept in all directions like a surging river. Damn! It's only been half a day and Big Brother has already broken through to the earth-penetrating realm. Is there a need to be so exaggerated? Xia Jun felt that he had suffered a huge blow. Hu Yanchao was also dumbfounded. Although he knew that Yi Fei might be very talented, he didn't expect Yi Fei's talent to be so strong. Kid, get out here for the patriarch. Die, die, die. The billowing voice suddenly spread to every corner of Sun Luo Temple. It was obvious that Patriarch East Demon was impatient. He was using this method to force Yi Fei to appear. Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao couldn't help but look at Yi Fei worriedly. Yi Fei stopped cultivating and opened his eyes, giving the two of them a reassuring look. You two stay on the island and don't go out. Since this old demon wants to die, I'll fulfill his wish. Boom. A terrifying power of heaven and earth suddenly appeared on Yi Fei's body. It was the power of the Earth Sword and also the power of martial arts. In the blink of an eye, Yi Fei had already rushed from the auction house to the sea outside Sun Luo Temple. At this time, the sea was densely packed with cultivators who came to watch the battle. Even Yu Zhijiang and the other stewards of Sun Luo Temple rushed over after hearing the news. When he saw that Yi Fei had broken through to the first level of the earth-penetrating realm in less than half a day, Yu Zhijiang was also very surprised. Patriarch East Demon's expression became incomparably ugly. It's only been half a day and you've already broken through to the earth-penetrating realm? What, are you afraid? In the sea breeze, Yi Fei's clothes fluttered. He carried the phoenix blood sword on his back and walked step by step towards Patriarch East Demon. Ha ha ha, Junior, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You think you can challenge me just because you've broken through to the first level of the earth-penetrating realm? Let me tell you. Before Patriarch East Demon could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Yi Fei's sword sound. Cut the crap. If you want to fight, let's fight. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Rumble. After breaking through to the earth-penetrating realm, Yi Fei felt that his 12 primordial spirits were filled with explosive power. He knew that this was because he had absorbed too many spirit stones and a portion of the spirit qi still remained in his body. He had to consume this spirit qi as soon as possible. Heaven and earth / Too lazy to talk to Patriarch East Demon, Yi Fei directly became one with his sword and condensed a huge sword light. It tore through heaven and earth and slashed towards Patriarch East Demon. This scene also stunned the million cultivators watching the battle. Facing one of the strongest Xieshio Patriarch, Yi Fei was already rare for him not to run away. He actually thought that the Patriarch was talking too much nonsense and directly used the sword light to interrupt him. This was clearly not putting old ancestor East Devil in his eyes. Junior, you're courting death. Roar. Patriarch East Demon was so angry that his silver-gray hair stood on end. Sensing his anger, a huge sea serpent suddenly appeared in the sea and let out a thunderous roar. It opened its mouth and swallowed Yi Fei's sword chi in one gulp. Then, there was another wave. The rolling sea suddenly surged with terrifying waves that were thousands of meters tall. In the middle of the waves, Patriarch East Demon's hair was in a mess. His entire body was emitting raging demonic flames. Heavenly demon soul suppression. The waves suddenly froze as an invisible hand covered the world. The 1,000-meter-tall waves instantly shattered, turning into countless water and ice arrows that completely covered the sky where Yi Fei stood. Sword momentum like a mountain, void sword fire. Chapter 8:22. Azura's sword, Forefather East Devil, take another strike from me. Yi Fei used the void flame sword to shatter the ice arrows in front of him. He immediately became one with his sword. A huge sword light the size of a mountain appeared in the sky, tearing apart the sky and shattering the sea. The world lost its light at this moment. Only that sword light was as bright as the sun. This was Yi Fei's sword aura. His sword aura was like a mountain. His battle intent was like a rainbow. This strike finally caused Forefather East Devil's expression to change. He roared fiercely as a terrifying aura emerged from his body. That aura was like a venomous python and a flood dragon. Dragon Snake Aura. Dragon Snake 100 strikes. Old Ancestor East Devil's entire body suddenly disappeared. He had completely transformed into a strange beast that resembled a snake or a dragon. He opened his sharp claws and streaked across the sky. The ferocious claws even tore through the void as they collided with Yi Fei's one with the sword. Hearing the thunder, the millions of martial artists' expressions changed. Those below the half-step almighty realm all turned pale and frantically retreated. Many of them were a little slower and their eardrums were shattered by the clashing of claws and sword light. Before Forefather East Devil declared that he would kill Yi Fei, no one would have thought that Yi Fei's strength would be so terrifying. Not only was he at the first stage of the Earth Profound Realm taking the initiative to attack a third stage Earth Profound Realm expert, he was still undefeated. This kid, no wonder he doesn't want our Sunluo Hall's protection. He actually has such terrifying combat strength. He's almost on par with the top geniuses of the Central Continent. Yu Zhijiang was also very surprised. Hearing Yu Zhijiang's words about Yi Fei, Wu Jun and the other stewards of Sunluo Hall were very surprised. Deputy Hall Master, could it be that even Forefather East Devil can't do anything to this person? Humph, that will depend on whether Forefather East Devil is willing to use his full strength. Yu Zhijiang's eyes were very shrewd. Following his words, the battle in the sky finally came to an end. Roar. A dignified third-stage Earth Profound Realm expert was actually suppressed by a first-stage Earth Profound Realm junior. Forefather East Devil was completely enraged. His sharp claws became even more terrifying. Every claw strike was like a heavy mountain crashing down on Yi Fei. Once or twice is nothing. However, even if he used Man-Sword Unity, Yi Fei would not be able to withstand 50 or 100 strikes. In the end, he stopped using Man-Sword Unity and quickly retreated 1,000 meters away. Old Ancestor East Devil let out a savage laugh. Ha ha ha, boy, why don't you continue fighting? Your sword is indeed powerful, but your realm is too low. You want to defeat me, an expert of the third stage of the Earth Extermination Realm, when you are only at the first stage of the Earth Extermination Realm? You are too naive. Naive. I want to see who is the naive one. Yi Fei's expression was cold. His failure did not discourage him. Instead, it ignited his fighting spirit. That's right, he was only at the first level of the Earth-penetrating realm, but don't forget that Yi Fei still had the battle god Dao. This was the forbidden domain of ancient geniuses. With every breakthrough, Yi Fei would be able to fight across a level. The second tier of the war god Dao was enough to make up for the gap between Yi Fei's cultivation level. Dao of the war god, activate at full power. Boom! His fighting spirit surged. A layer of purple-gold flames suddenly burned on Yi Fei's body. At the same time, old ancestor East Devil's massive body once again came crashing down. 100 Dragon Snake Strikes. The entire sky was completely covered by old ancestor East Devil's beastral dragon snake body. His sharp claws formed twisted silver hooks that tore through the void, forming a series of terrifying void storms. Heaven, earth, and man, 3 swords as one. Yi Fei's blood was boiling. He held the phoenix blood sword and once again became one with the sword, forming a huge flaming sword that slashed forward. Boom! The flaming sword and the sharp claws collided once again, bursting into a meteor-like rain of flames, accompanied by a large amount of blood and shattered scales. How is this possible? How did your combat strength suddenly become so strong? You can actually shatter my scales. Old ancestor East Devil was extremely shocked. The 100 Dragon Snake Strikes was his strongest attack. Unless it was an opponent of the same level, it was impossible to block his special Dragon Snake aura. But now, not only had Yi Fei blocked it, he had even injured him? I'll kill you. Let's see how many of my claws you can block. Old ancestor East Devil crazily roared. His massive dragon snake body twisted like a mountain range. It was heavy and terrifying as it ruthlessly lashed at Yi Fei. Sky Destroyer Sword, suppress heaven and earth. Yi Fei took a deep breath. Suddenly, the sword light in his hand became incomparably slow. However, the world instantly became still. Even old ancestor East Devil's massive body became sluggish. Sky Destroyer Sword, devour heaven and earth. Yi Fei's eyes lit up. Taking advantage of old ancestor East Devil's sluggish state, he suddenly condensed all of his sword aura and sword aura, forming a terrifying sword mountain that furiously slashed down. Old ancestor East Devil suddenly felt one of his claws being cut in two by Yi Fei. The intense pain made him go crazy. He crazily swayed his body and spat out endless devil flames from his mouth. His lantern-like snake eyes were filled with immense anger. You dare injure me? How could you injure me? Old ancestor East Devil questioned. However, it was more like he was talking to himself. He didn't understand what had happened. A moment ago, he felt that Yi Fei was pitifully weak. But now, Yi Fei had actually erupted with a strength comparable to an earth-penetrating third layer. Could it be that this brat was hiding his cultivation? His true realm is earth-penetrating third layer? Old ancestor East Devil thought of a possibility, but he quickly rejected it. This was because he had personally seen Yi Fei attempt to break through in front of everyone at the auction. Since Yi Fei wasn't hiding his strength, there was only one possibility. This brat is the same as those geniuses of the Central State. He actually has the ability to fight above his level. Moreover, he's fighting 2 levels in a row. Hiss! Old ancestor East Devil suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. In Wu Jun's realm, fighting above one's level was very common. As long as one's combat strength was strong enough, it was possible to fight above 4 or 5 levels. However, earth-penetrating third-layer experts were different. Earth-penetrating third-layer experts could borrow the power of heaven and earth. Many geniuses in Wu Jun's realm could easily fight above their level. However, it was impossible in the earth-penetrating third-layer expert. Therefore, only those who could still fight above their level in the earth-penetrating third-layer experts were true geniuses. And Yi Fei was undoubtedly such a genius. Old ancestor East Devil suddenly regretted provoking Yi Fei. Such a genius would definitely become an omnipotent great sage in the future. But at the same time, once he provoked such a genius, he had to take advantage of the fact that he hadn't matured to completely eliminate him. Roar! the roar of a dragon and the hiss of a snake. Old Ancestor East Devil's eyes were filled with hatred as he sneered. Brat, you must die today. Wrath of the dragon and the snake. Boom! The sky trembled as boundless demonic flames appeared, causing the sky to lose its color. At the same time, waves surged beneath Yi Fei's feet. Silently, a huge black shadow appeared on the surface of the water. This black shadow was like a black ribbon that had been lurking for a long time. Chapter 8:23. Forefather Western Evil. Crack, crack, crack. The Black Sea Serpent's poisonous mist was extremely terrifying. It dyed the nearby clouds green, and a foul stench and highly toxic mucus rained down like a torrential downpour. The most frightening thing was its chain-like body. It coiled and coiled as it attacked. Together with Forefather East Devil's dragon snake body, the collision created ripples in the air. The spectating Xieshio was in an uproar. Forefather East Devil has been forced to such a state that even his last sea serpent has been dispatched. Hiss, I didn't expect this demonic sword youth to be so terrifying. He's only at the first stage of earth penetrating, but he can erupt with the power of the third stage. So what? Under the cooperation of the Forefather's dragon snake body and the sea serpent, he's still going to die. The changes in the battle in the sea alarmed many of the Wu Jun stewards of Dark Azura Hall. They then looked at Yu Zhejiang and asked, Branch Hall Master, should we make a move? In the end, Yi Fei still owed the Dark Azura Hall 150 million upper-grade spirit stones. These stewards naturally didn't wish for Yi Fei to die right now. Sigh, what a pity. Although he's talented, he shouldn't have fought Forefather East Devil head-on. If he was running for his life, I might have been able to secretly help him. But now it's probably too late. Yu Zhejiang sighed. Clearly, when the sea serpent had bound Yi Fei with its poisonous mist, he had already lost confidence in Yi Fei. Not to mention, Forefather East Devil's gigantic dragon snake body was already smashing down like a mountain, bringing with it gales and waves. His target was Yi Fei's head. Kakik, Jr., so what if you're a genius? What I like the most is to kill geniuses like you. After I kill you, I'll extract your soul and refine you into a puppet. You'll be my slave for all eternity. This is the fate of those who oppose me. Old Ancestor East Demon's savage laughter came out of the dragon snake's mouth. This time, Yi Fei would undoubtedly die. He could borrow the momentum of killing Yi Fei to intimidate everyone. It had to be said that Patriarch East Demon was very scheming. When he saw the two giant snakes coiling around Yi Fei, all the Xieshio's hearts trembled. Lan Mo, Xie Feng and the others finally witnessed how frightening Old Ancestor East Devil was. Not good. Right now, Old Ancestor West Devil is heavily injured and on the verge of death. Perhaps in the future, the Xieshio Sea will belong to Old Ancestor East Devil alone. We have to make a choice. Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao's eyes were red. They could not accept the fact that the sea snake's huge body had turned into a mountain of snakes and was gradually swallowing Yi Fei. Young Master Yi died just like that? No, Big Brother won't die. He could have escaped. This East Demon is so despicable. He actually used the sea snake to sneak attack Big Brother. I will avenge Big Brother. Xia Jun was incomparably furious. His fists were shining like the sun. He raised his fists and was about to rush out of the sea to fight Old Ancestor East Demon. But, just as Xia Jun was being impulsive, Yi Fei's body was already coiled around by the sea snake, leaving only his head exposed. He suddenly let out a thunderous roar. Old Ancestor East Demon, it's too early for you to be happy. Endless purple-gold flames appeared on Yi Fei's body. Like a huge pillar of fire, they broke through the clouds and shattered the dark green poisonous clouds in the sky. Yi Fei's aura was violent. He was like an ancient war demon that had awakened from a deep slumber. He was like a bloodthirsty Azura that walked out of the battlefield. He stretched out his arms and grabbed the coiling deep-sea demonic snake. Rip! There was the sound of cloth being torn. Yi Fei forcefully used his strength to tear the sea snake's huge body into two. Blood sprayed out in all directions like a waterfall. A bright purple-gold sphere suddenly appeared around Yi Fei's body. It perfectly protected him from the poisonous blood. Finally, Yi Fei grabbed the sea snake's broken body. Endless sword intent poured into the sea snake's body like a raging sea and raging waves. Hiss! The sea snake hissed in pain. However, it was soon filled with Yi Fei's sword aura. It turned into two huge sword lights and was thrown out by Yi Fei. Heaven, earth, and man, 3 swords in one. Yi Fei used the snake as a sword and executed the heaven sword slash and earth sword slash. At the same time, he became one with the sword and executed the final mortal sword slash. Heaven and earth were suddenly filled with endless sword lights. Finally, they formed 3 terrifying huge swords that parted the clouds and tore the sea apart. How is this possible? What kind of power is that? You actually blocked my sea snake's sneak attack and killed it? Unforgivable. Old ancestor East Devil cultivated an evil technique and had no children. That sea snake was his only hope. Now Yi Fei actually killed it. Ah! The dragon snake in the sky suddenly went crazy. Its scaly tail slapped even harder. It was like a huge mountain range that rose from the ground and smashed towards Yi Fei. The heaven sword slash and earth sword slash shattered at the same time. However, the sword lights they condensed didn't disappear. Instead, they merged with Yi Fei's body from the black snake's body, causing Yi Fei's sword light to become even more intense. Boom! In the end, a huge black demonic sword shattered the void. Yi Fei shattered the huge snake tail that was smashing towards him. Then, he quickly slashed towards the head of the dragon snake. Wow, how is this possible? That kid is actually using the Heavenly Tao sword cannon. Is he a disciple of the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy? At this time, old ancestor East Devil finally recognized what kind of sword technique Yi Fei was using. No wonder his dragon snake body couldn't block it. As an old demon who had been famous for a long time, old ancestor East Devil quickly returned to his human form. However, he had already lost an arm and a leg. Damn it! This is definitely the greatest humiliation I've ever suffered. I didn't expect him to be a disciple of the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy. No wonder he is so strong. Old ancestor East Devil's expression was ugly. Yi Fei's heaven, earth, and mortal swords had clearly caused him to misunderstand. Now that Yi Fei had chopped off an arm and a leg, his previous disdain instantly turned into fear. "Junior, just you wait. I won't let you off." Roar. With shame and fear, old ancestor East Devil didn't care about his identity as an old ancestor. He actually turned around and fled. He also saw that many Xie were dumbfounded. The powerful Xie old ancestor actually fled? Do you still want face? Yi Fei was very depressed. It wasn't easy for him to comprehend the Heavenly Tao sword cannon to a higher level, but this old demon actually wanted to escape? Where do you think you're going? Yi Fei raised the Phoenix Blood Sword and was about to give chase. Big brother, be careful. Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao suddenly panicked. Because while Yi Fei was chasing after old ancestor East Devil, a middle-aged man with a sinister face suddenly appeared in the sky behind him. The man's evil aura soared into the sky. A huge, evil spirit's mouth appeared in his palm. It let out a sharp and strange laugh and fiercely slapped towards Yi Fei's body. Immediately, a sense of death attacked Yi Fei's heart. Chapter 824. Void Heavenly Ghost, what's going on? Wasn't old ancestor Xie seriously injured by the dragon turtle? Isn't he in seclusion to recover? Old ancestor Xie's appearance shocked everyone. Even Lan Mo, Xie Feng, and Hai Yao, the three Xie generals, were in disbelief. They were old ancestor Shi Xie's trusted aides, but even they didn't know why old ancestor Shi Xie would appear here. Yu Zhijiang sighed again and praised, "What a good old ancestor Shi Xie, what a great trick! We were all fooled by him. He wasn't seriously injured, but he did it on purpose to make old ancestor East Devil lower his guard. Now, he's taken advantage of us." In the end, Yu Zhijiang was an outsider. As a bystander, he quickly discovered old ancestor Western Evil's sinister intentions. Only then did Blue Devil and the others realize that old ancestor Western Evil was pretending to be heavily injured so that he could sit back and reap the benefits. Not good, old ancestor East Devil is in danger. The beautiful woman's expression suddenly changed. She was old ancestor East Devil's last general, and also the smartest one. She quickly understood that old ancestor Shi Xie was pretending to be seriously injured in order to secretly deal with old ancestor East Devil. Now that old ancestor East Devil was seriously injured, how could he escape from old ancestor Shi Xie's evil hands? As expected, when Yi Fei and old ancestor East Devil were chasing each other, old ancestor Shi Xie, who had been waiting for this opportunity, ruthlessly attacked. His body emitted boundless ghost chi and sinister laughter. "Ha ha ha, East Devil, I pretended to be seriously injured in order to get rid of you, but this time, it's a buy one get one free deal. I can even kill a sword genius. It's worth it to spend all my fortune to refine this void ghost king." Roar. As old ancestor Shi Xie's voice fell, his demonic hand suddenly separated into two huge demonic hands, one on the left and one on the right, and ruthlessly tore down. "Old ancestor Shi Xie, you dare to trick me? If I don't die, I won't rest until you're dead." Old ancestor East Devil struggled with all his might. His body burned like a torch, trying to protect himself, but he was already seriously injured by Yi Fei. Old ancestor Shi Xie had been planning this for a long time, so how could old ancestor East Devil block it? The moment the demonic hand slapped down, old ancestor East Devil, the demonic devil's body's body, and a large's body, his chest caved in, blood, and his organs. Purple gold Tai Chi, Sky Annihilation Sword. Yi Fei didn't dare to be careless in front of the sudden appearance of the old ancestor. He quickly used his violet gold Tai Chi to protect himself and stabbed out with his sword, wanting to force back the old ancestor. However, old ancestor Shi Xie was an earth-shattering Stage 3 expert, and this was a sudden sneak attack. No matter how fast Yi Fei's reaction was, the huge demonic hand still firmly slapped his body, and the radiance of the purple gold Tai Chi shrunk. Even so, Yi Fei's actions still shocked old ancestor Shi Xie. How is this possible? What kind of defense is that? Even my full-strength attack couldn't break it. No wonder you could injure old ancestor East Devil. Unfortunately, you're going to die just like East Devil. Void Ghost King, devour them for me. Without a sound, the world suddenly became incomparably dark. At the same time, Yi Fei instantly felt a cold aura surrounding him. No matter how strong his sword light was, it couldn't tear apart the darkness in front of him. Yi Fei was shocked. What is this? Even my great emperor's sword can't tear apart this strange darkness? Kakik, it's useless. This is our Xiexio's strongest secret technique, the Void Heavenly Ghost. Right now, old ancestor Shi Xie is willing to pay any price to refine it into a Void Ghost King. It seems like he's determined to kill me. However, to be able to drag a junior like you down with him, my death won't be in vain. Kakik. Old ancestor East Devil spat out blood as he let out a strange and despairing laugh. Yi Fei angrily walked towards old ancestor East Devil and said, "I don't care what secret technique you have. Since you know about it, then you must have a way to break it. If you don't want to die, then tell me how to break it." "Junior, if you hadn't cut off one of my arms and legs and heavily injured me, How could I have fallen for that old ancestor Xi's scheme? I can't wait to pull out your tendons and skin you. Do you think I'll tell you how to break it? Old ancestor East Devil laughed sinisterly. Even at death's door, he was still filled with endless hatred for Yi Fei. In the end, if Yi Fei hadn't heavily injured him, he still might have been able to break the Void Ghost King's devouring. It was Yi Fei who had harmed him. How could old ancestor East Devil tell Yi Fei how to break it? If you don't tell me, I'll kill you right now. Yi Fei raised the Phoenix Blood Sword and was about to stab old ancestor East Devil. Old ancestor East Devil revealed a strange, sinister smile. It's useless. We're already in the stomach of the Void Heavenly Ghost. Our bodies have been completely imprisoned until it teleports us to the killing ground set up by old ancestor West Devil to wait for death. Hee. Old ancestor East Devil's face was filled with despair and mockery. He allowed Yi Fei's sword to pierce through his body. Yi Fei's complexion also turned completely ugly. Only now did he realize the strangeness of the Void Heavenly Ghost. Not only had he and East Devil been swallowed into its stomach, they had only a basic consciousness left. Clearly, he couldn't kill old ancestor East Devil with just his consciousness. However, Yi Fei still managed to obtain some information about the Void Heavenly Ghost from old ancestor East Devil's mouth. This evil path's secret technique didn't seem to have any offensive power. It could only forcefully imprison the enemy and then lead them to a preset trap or a death ground, indirectly killing them. However, with old ancestor West Devil's methods, the death ground he set up definitely wouldn't be a good place. Seeing old ancestor East Devil's despairing expression, Yi Fei's expression turned even graver. Of course, the Void Heavenly Ghost's evil technique seemed strange and unpredictable. However, in the eyes of the millions of martial artists watching the battle, they only saw a giant opening in the void and quickly swallowing Yi Fei and old ancestor East Devil. Then, the surface of the sea calmed down. Only old ancestor West Devil remained, emitting evil and ghostly energy as he walked step by step towards Dark Azura Hall. The millions of martial artists were all stunned. What is old ancestor West Devil doing? What kind of evil technique was that? It actually swallowed 2 earth-shattering powerhouses in an instant? Could it be that old ancestor East Devil and the youth with the demonic sword were instantly killed just like that? Dark Azura Hall's stewards were also very shocked. Yu Zhejiang was also very shocked. His face darkened as he looked at the approaching old ancestor West Devil and said, "Old ancestor West Devil, I didn't expect you to be willing to spend so much to raise the Void Heavenly Ghost Ring into a Void Ghostly King. However, the Void Ghostly King can only trap enemies, not kill them. Are you sure that the death ground you found can kill 2 earth-shattering powerhouses?" Yu Zhejiang was probing. If old ancestor East Devil and Yi Fei both died, then the Xieshio Sea would be dominated by old ancestor West Devil alone. Hall master you, don't worry. Ordinary death grounds and traps can't kill 2 earth-shattering powerhouses. However, what if I let the Heavenly Ghost send them to the Dragon Turtle's lair? Old ancestor West Devil laughed sinisterly. What? Old ancestor East Devil was sent to the Dragon Turtle's lair? It's over. That Dragon Turtle is of the earth-shattering 10th level. Even the Heavenly Grandmaster Great Sage wouldn't dare to provoke it. Looks like old ancestor East Devil and the youth with the demonic sword are completely finished. Chapter 825. Tyrannical Dragon Turtle. All the martial artists in the outer seas knew about the tyrannical and terrifying dragon turtles. One had to know that dragon turtles were not only cruel by nature and ate flood dragons as food, they also hated humans. However, dragon turtles often hid in the depths of the sea and caught flood dragons as food. Very few martial artists would encounter them, but once they did, they would be out of luck. They would be instantly killed by dragon turtles' dragon flames. This was also the reason why the martial artists of the CSHO immediately believed Western Evil's old ancestor after hearing that he had encountered a dragon turtle and was on the verge of death. How is it, Hall Master, you? Western Evil, acted pretty well, right? It was so easy. Not only did I get rid of my old enemy, Eastern Evil, I also killed a sword genius. From now on, this CSHO belongs to me, Western Evil. What are you all waiting for? Kneel and declare your loyalty to me. After Western Evil finished speaking, his eyes were filled with evil aura. They were like vipers and vicious beasts as he looked at everyone present. Wherever he looked, the CSHO would kneel on the ground in fear, not even daring to breathe loudly. Lan Mo and the others were ecstatic. They kneeled down and said, "Congratulations, old ancestor, for dominating the CSHO. Congratulations, old ancestor, for reaching the martial saint realm in the near future." Eastern Evil's last subordinate, the femme fatale, quickly ran over to flatter him. After knowing that Eastern Evil's old ancestor had been thrown into the dragon turtle's nest, the femme fatale knew that Eastern Evil's old ancestor and Yi Fei were most likely dead. She immediately changed sides and pledged her loyalty to Western Evil's old ancestor. Even the femme fatale was like this, so the other CSHO naturally didn't dare to be negligent. Soon, all the spectating martial artists except those who belonged to the Dark Azura Hall knelt down and loudly praised Western Evil's old ancestor. A satisfied smile appeared on Patriarch Xie's evil face. Then, his face turned cold again. He stared at Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao, who were the only ones who didn't kneel down. You two must be his companions. Since he is dead, you don't need to live either. The matter of Yi Fei using the Heavenly Tao Sword Codex also caused the old ancestor to be extremely fearful. If Yi Fei was really a disciple of the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy, although the old ancestor wasn't afraid, it would still be very troublesome. At this time, he naturally wouldn't leave anyone alive. Hu Yanchao's face suddenly turned as pale as a sheet of paper. He smiled bitterly and said, "I didn't expect that I would still die in the CSHO after hiding here and there for revenge. Lao Hu, it's too early for you to be discouraged. Big Brother won't die so easily. I believe that Big Brother will definitely survive." Xia Jun suddenly regained his confidence after a moment of sadness. He saw with his own eyes that Yi Fei survived the dragon turtle's attack. It was also because of this that Xia Jun firmly believed that Yi Fei would definitely survive. Lao Hu, take out the Saint Bone. We will ask for the Sun Luo Temple's protection and wait for Big Brother to return. Xia Jun reminded Hu Yanchao. Hearing this, Lan Mo and the others all sneered. They stood up and mocked, "What a joke. You still want to live after encountering the dragon turtle? I think you guys are scared silly. Hurry up and give the Saint Bone to the old ancestor. If the old ancestor is in a good mood, he will let you guys die a little more comfortably." We are making a deal with the Sun Luo Temple. Why are you dogs interrupting? Hall Master you, we ask for the Sun Luo Temple's protection. Hu Yanchao also recovered. He immediately handed the Saint Bone to the Sun Luo Temple's manager. As the Hall Master of the Black Market, Yu Zhejiang naturally wouldn't be polite. He completely ignored the old ancestor's threatening expression and promised, "One Saint Bone and my Sun Luo Temple will protect you guys for 10 days. After 10 days we will leave it to fate. What do you think, old ancestor Xia?" Good. I didn't expect you guys to have a Saint Bone. Count yourselves lucky this time. After 10 days I will torture you guys to death." Seeing that Hu Yanchao had a Saint Bone and didn't give it to him to beg for his life, he actually gave it to the Sun Luo Temple. His body emitted a shocking murderous intent. However, in the end, he still had to consider Yu Zhejiang's strength and the Sun Luo Temple's terrifying background. He didn't dare to act recklessly. He directly sat cross-legged on the sea and waited for 10 days to take Xia Jun and Hu Yanchao's live. Rumble. In the deepest part of the Xieshio Sea, there was a terrifying volcanic region. At this time, a huge dragon turtle was blocking the entrance of the volcano. It was using the volcano's flame energy to cultivate while its tyrannical eyes coldly stared at the void in front of it. With the dragon turtle's strength, it naturally felt that something was wrong with the void in front of it. The dragon turtle thought, could it be another undead human that dares to spy on us? Roar. The dragon turtle let out a threatening roar. It was very busy right now and didn't have the time to care about those insignificant human warriors. However, they just had to go against the dragon turtle. A huge mouth appeared in the void and forcefully spat out. Bang! 2 figures were suddenly spat out from the huge mouth. The void ghost king that spat out the 2 people immediately wanted to merge into the void and escape. However, the tyrannical dragon turtle did not give the heavenly ghost the chance to do so. Seeing that someone had actually used the void heavenly ghost to barge into its lair, the dragon turtle's tyrannical eyes immediately flashed with boundless fury and malevolence. Any creature that intruded into its territory must die. Roar. The dragon turtle's mountainous body suddenly soared into the sky like a flying mountain range. It crashed into the void fiercely. The void and the void heavenly ghost were unable to withstand the dragon turtle's brutal impact. The huge turtle's body shattered the void. The void heavenly ghost that was hidden inside instantly exploded and was smashed into pieces. Another scream startled Yi Fei, who was still in a daze. When he opened his eyes, he realized that he had come from the surface of the dark Azura Hall to a strange sea region filled with volcanoes. The most terrifying thing was the huge turtle that crashed into the sky. It was the dragon turtle that he had encountered when he first came to the Xieshio Sea. It wasn't enough to shatter the void ghost. The dragon turtle's huge foot ferociously stomped towards Patriarch East Demon. Patriarch East Demon immediately let out a desperate and fearful roar. Old Dog West Demon, you actually used the dragon turtle to kill me. I won't let you off even if I become a ghost, long-winded. Bang. The dragon turtle couldn't be bothered to listen to what the human warrior in front of it had to say. Anyone who intruded into its territory would be trampled to death. It didn't even care about the space belt that Patriarch East Demon dropped. The dragon turtle's tyrannical eyes stared at Yi Fei again. Then it was stunned. Why does this human look so familiar? Yi Fei also widened his eyes in shock. This turtle is so strong. It killed an earth-penetrating third-stage expert just like that. It didn't even want the space belt. That can't be wasted. Seeing that the space belt was about to fall into the volcano and melt into slag, Yi Fei ignored the danger. He immediately tore through the void and quickly grabbed the space belt in his hand. This action immediately reminded the dragon turtle of who Yi Fei was. He was the little human ant that had once escaped from its clutches. Now, this little ant actually dared to barge into its nest. Roar! Chapter 8:26. The wrath of Xiao Chao. Seeing the dragon turtle's enraged expression, Yi Fei knew that the dragon turtle must have recognized him and wanted to kill him to vent its anger. Fortunately, Yi Fei was prepared. When he saw the dragon turtle stomp Patriarch East Demon to death, Yi Fei knew that he was no match for the dragon turtle. Holding the space belt, the 12 primordial spirits in Yi Fei's body erupted at once. 100 miles in an instant. Boom! The dragon turtle's gigantic feet stomped down, instantly crushing the gigantic volcano into 2 halves from the middle. Magma gushed out, boiling the seawater. Yi Fei finally saw the reason why the dragon turtle was lying at the mouth of the volcano. In the boiling magma, there was the corpse of a huge WYRM that was hundreds of meters long. It was floating in the magma. Needless to say, this was the WRM that Yi Fei had seen fighting with the dragon turtle. However, Even an earth-shattering level 10 flood dragon was no match for the dragon turtle. It was even killed for roasting dragon meat. Immediately, Yi Fei was even more determined not to fight the dragon turtle. Fortunately, I have 100 miles in an instant. I also took Patriarch East Demon's space belt. I didn't lose out this time. Yi Fei thought silently. He still felt very insecure after teleporting 100 miles away. This was because he could still feel the dragon turtle's anger and brutality at this distance. Yi Fei had no choice but to use 100 miles in an instant again and rush 100 miles away. It's a distance of 200 miles. Even that dragon turtle would have a hard time catching up. Yi Fei thought to himself. However, before he could celebrate too early, the sky above him suddenly turned black. The sky above his head suddenly turned black. Soon after, a tyrannical and terrifying aura mercilessly pressed down. It was the dragon turtle. He actually caught up to him so quickly? How is this possible? I used 100 miles in an instant. How can such a huge turtle keep up with my speed? 100 miles in an instant. Yi Fei did not believe in heresy. Before the dragon turtle's giant palm landed, he had already unleashed 3 primordial divinities consecutively and charged out a distance of 300 miles. The dragon turtle missed a step once again. A look of surprise appeared in its eyes, which then turned into a look of mockery. It was as if it was mocking Yi Fei for competing with it in terms of speed. Roar. The dragon turtle let out a long dragon roar once again. Its voice penetrated the void, almost shattering Yi Fei's eardrums. At that moment, Yi Fei had already unleashed 5 essence souls and escaped 250 kilometers away. At such a distance, even a powerhouse of the earth-penetrating 10th layer would be left in the dust. However, the dragon turtle had caught up in the time of a breath. Yi Fei was completely stunned. He suddenly thought of something terrifying. 100 miles in an instant. Could this dragon turtle also be able to travel 100 miles in an instant? Roar. Upon hearing Yi Fei's words, the dragon turtle was not in a hurry to kill Yi Fei this time. Instead, it stared coldly at Yi Fei with a mocking gaze. Yi Fei's expression immediately turned bitter. Although the dragon turtle could not speak, Yi Fei confirmed his judgment when he saw the mockery in its eyes. This dragon turtle really was able to travel 100 miles in an instant. The last time he was able to escape from the dragon turtle, he did not rely on his strength, but on his luck. As the dragon turtle was busy hunting the flood dragon, it was careless and failed to pursue Yi Fei in time. However, it was different this time. Yi Fei was a great enemy who had barged into the dragon turtle's lair. To the dragon turtle, this was undoubtedly a huge provocation. How could the dragon turtle let him off? Great Emperor Wang Qing, I've been screwed over by you. Yi Fei looked at the mocking dragon turtle in front of him. He really could not cry even if he wanted to. If he had known that the dragon turtle was able to travel 100 miles in an instant, he would have taken the opportunity to escape when the dragon turtle was dealing with Patriarch East Devil. It was all greed that killed him. Yi Fei also did not know that great Emperor Wang Qing had been pursued by the dragon turtle when he was young and had nearly lost his life. In the end, he learned from the painful experience and created the 100 miles in an instant escape technique based on the dragon turtle's characteristic. Even great Emperor Wang Qing had to secretly learn a secret technique from the dragon turtle. Yi Fei actually dared to use the 100 miles in an instant in front of the dragon turtle. Wasn't this showing off in front of the dragon turtle? Calm down. I have to calm down. There must be a way to escape this turtle's pursuit. It's just that I haven't thought of it yet. Yi Fei did not dare move as the dragon turtle stared at him. However, his mind was spinning rapidly. Roar. When the dragon turtle saw that Yi Fei had stopped running, it immediately lost interest. Compared to the insignificant human in front of it, it was more interested in the almost cooked flood dragon. Therefore, it did not give Yi Fei any chance to struggle. The dragon turtle directly spat a mouthful of dragon flames at Yi Fei. Then, it turned around and left. It was as if this mouthful of dragon flames would kill Yi Fei. Yi Fei's eyes were instantly filled with anger. Damn it! I'm a sage ruler of the North region. How can I be looked down upon by a turtle? Purple gold taiji. I don't believe that I can't block it. Realizing that escaping was not an option, Yi Fei could only unleash his remaining 7 primordial spirits. At the same time, he circulated the Battle God Dao and the Devil Emperor Sutra to form the most resplendent purple gold taiji to protect himself. Rumble! The dragon turtle's dragon flames were instantly repelled when they hit the purple gold taiji. They were unable to cause any damage to Yi Fei. However, after this round of depletion, Yi Fei was shocked to discover that the circle of his purple gold taiji had shrunk by half. If the dragon turtle added another mouthful of dragon flames at this moment, roar! At this thought, the dragon turtle felt humiliated when it realized that its dragon flames had not killed Yi Fei. It instantly went berserk. After a mouthful of dragon flames, it spat out another mouthful of dragon flames that was even larger than the previous one. Instantly, the purple gold taiji was under immense pressure. What? After all, the purple gold taiji was not perfect. Although it was invulnerable and had the characteristics of being invincible, if the opponent's attack exceeded the purple gold taiji's limit, the purple gold taiji could still be destroyed. Left with no choice, Yi Fei could only take out the Phoenix Blood Sword. He became one with the sword and launched his strongest sword attack. Heaven, earth, and man, 3 swords in one. Yi Fei's eyes were filled with madness. All his strength transformed into a long rainbow of swords that pierced towards the dragon turtle. He planned to use offense as defense and find the dragon turtle's weakness. Roar! After failing to kill Yi Fei twice in a row, the dragon turtle was completely enraged. A terrifying force of heaven and earth suddenly erupted from its body and mercilessly suppressed Yi Fei. Yi Fei was shocked to discover that the 3 strongest swords he had condensed were all shattered. 100% of the force of heaven and earth? Oh no, this dragon turtle really wants to kill me. Yi Fei's face was pale. He was only in the first stage of the earth-penetrating realm. Even if he was in the War God Dao stage, he could at most fight someone 2 stages higher than him. Now that he was facing the dragon turtle, who was in the 10th stage of the earth-penetrating realm, he had no chance of winning. Boom! The moment the dragon turtle's force of heaven and earth suppressed him, Yi Fei felt as if all the bones in his body were about to be crushed. He landed on a deserted island like a cannonball. In the end, even this deserted island could not withstand the dragon turtle's force of heaven and earth. Half of the island shattered and sank into the sea. Am I going to die? Yi Fei vomited blood and felt the intense pain from his organs. Suddenly, he made a decision. I can die, but I can't let Xiao Qiao die with me. Xiao Qiao, run! At this critical moment, Yi Fei could no longer care about anything else. He used all his strength to shout at Xiao Qiao, who was still in a deep sleep. He hoped that Xiao Qiao would wake up quickly and escape from his side. Chapter 8:27. Beating the dragon turtle. Xiao Cao couldn't believe it. She was just sleeping, but there was actually a big turtle that chased Yi Fei to such an extent. It had to be known that in Xiao Cao's heart, Yi Fei was her most precious safe house. In the beast mark space, Xiao Qiao ate well and slept well. When she was fine, she could even let Yi Fei lift her up high. If Yi Fei was killed by this turtle, then what would she eat and where would she live? Who would comfort her if she felt wronged? This turtle was too hateful. Xiao Qiao must teach it a lesson. Filled with boundless anger, Xiao Qiao's face turned cold. She pouted and clenched her little fists as she rushed out of the beast mark space. Then, she angrily rushed towards the giant turtle in the sky. Yi Fei was also instantly frightened by Xiao Qiao's actions. He broke out in cold sweat. Xiao Chao, what are you doing? I told you to run. Who told you to go and court death? Roar. The giant roar of the dragon turtle completely drowned out Yi Fei's voice. When it saw Xiao Chao, the dragon turtle's eyes instantly flashed with ecstasy and intense greed. Spiritual item of heaven and earth. This must be a spiritual item of heaven and earth. If I eat her, I will immediately evolve into an existence like the divine dragon and divine phoenix. I'll eat her now. After discovering Xiao Chao, the ecstatic dragon turtle couldn't even be bothered to kill Yi Fei. It just couldn't wait to open its bloody mouth and swallow Xiao Chao. Dragon turtle, you dare to hurt Xiao Chao. I'll take your life. Undying sword soul, wake up. Yi Fei went crazy. At this moment, he finally remembered. He still had a secret weapon on him. Yi Fei was prepared to release the undying sword soul at all costs. When Xiao Chao saw that the dragon tortoise was not satisfied with bullying Yi Fei, it actually wanted to eat her. Xiao Chao was completely enraged. She pointed at the dragon tortoise and angrily criticized it. When she realized that the dragon tortoise did not listen to her, Xiao Chao angrily took out a vine whip from her body. With a bang, she threw it at the dragon tortoise. Roar. The dragon turtle couldn't believe that Xiao Chao's vine whip would be so terrifying. Cracks appeared on its hard shell. The scariest thing was that after being hit by the vine whip, the dragon turtle was shocked to discover that its earth-penetrating tenfold realm had dropped to earth-penetrating ninefold realm. What kind of vine whip is that in Xiao Chao's hand? It's simply heaven-defying. Yi Fei was also so shocked that he couldn't close his mouth. He was already prepared to release his undying sword soul and fight the dragon turtle to the death. In the end, the dragon turtle that he couldn't deal with even after using all his means was dealt with by Xiao Chao with a single whip? Roar. The dragon turtle was very unconvinced. Its gaze towards Xiao Chao became even more violent. Its huge body was like a comet as it ferociously and violently charged towards Xiao Chao. Xiao Chao, come back quickly. Seeing the dragon turtle's actions, Yi Fei was shocked again. Just now, he had personally witnessed the dragon turtle shattering the void with its body and instantly killing the void heavenly ghost. How could Xiao Chao block such a terrifying attack? Squeak, squeak, squeak. When Xiao Chao saw that the dragon turtle wasn't obedient after being hit by the whip and actually wanted to eat her, Xiao Chao was so angry that her cheeks puffed up. She immediately shouted and used all her strength to whip the dragon turtle again. Roar. The dragon turtle's painful screams immediately resounded in the sea. Not only did Xiao Chao's whip crack the dragon turtle's hard shell, but it also whipped the dragon turtle from the sky to the ground. Its realm also dropped from earth-penetrating ninefold realm to earth-penetrating eightfold realm. Yi Fei was completely stunned. When did Xiao Chao become so strong? However, when he saw the struggling dragon turtle on the beach, Yi Fei's eyes suddenly brightened. He had been bullied badly by the dragon turtle earlier. Now that he had Xiao Chao, this was the best time to take revenge. Xiao Chao, don't stop. Continue whipping. Yi Fei immediately instructed Xiao Chao. Pa 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 pa. Xiao Chao obediently waved the vine whip with all her might. She didn't even look and only focused on whipping the dragon turtle in front of her. After all, the dragon turtle's body was as big as a mountain. She could hit it with her eyes closed. The dragon turtle clearly realized that its body was an eyesore. It continued to roar violently and its body suddenly shrank rapidly. Soon, it was only the size of a washbasin. Finally, it successfully dodged Xiao Chao's last whip. However, after being whipped 4 or 5 times by Xiao Chao, the dragon turtle's realm had miraculously dropped to earth-penetrating level 3. At this moment, even if Xiao Chao didn't make a move, Yi Fei was confident that he could defeat the dragon turtle. Roar. The dragon turtle shrank its body and stared furiously at Xiao Chao. In the end, fear prevailed over greed. When it realized that Xiao Qiao was strange, a strange light suddenly erupted from the dragon turtle's body. Yi Fei also immediately realized the dragon turtle's intentions. Not good. This dragon turtle isn't Xiao Qiao's match. It wants to use 100 Li in an instant to escape. Xiao Qiao, quick, continue whipping it. You must stop it. Pa. Xiao Qiao didn't say anything. She suddenly swung her small hand forward with all her might. The vine whip in her hand suddenly shone with a rainbow-colored light and lashed towards the dragon turtle again. Unexpectedly, at the same time that the dragon turtle used the 100 miles technique, she lashed out with the whip again and lashed the dragon turtle onto the beach. Another crack appeared on the dragon turtle's carapace, and its cultivation dropped from earth-penetrating third layer to earth-penetrating second layer. The dragon turtle was dumbfounded. It lay on the beach in a daze. It couldn't believe what it had just experienced. This was simply a nightmare. Yi Fei also stared blankly. The vine whip in Xiao Qiao's hand was definitely a treasure. It was even a heaven-defying treasure. However, why hadn't he seen Xiao Qiao use such a treasure before? Roar. The dragon turtle let out an angry and unwilling roar. When it realized that the sky was an easy target for Xiao Qiao's attacks, the dragon turtle suddenly spread its four limbs and rushed towards the distant sea as if it was flying. Xiao Qiao, catch it for me! Yi Fei hurriedly shouted. When Xiao Qiao saw that the dragon turtle wanted to escape because it couldn't win, she became even angrier. She stretched her short legs and instantly rushed in front of the dragon turtle. Pa 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 pa! She lashed out a few more times. The dragon turtle's terrified and miserable cries could be heard from the entire deserted island. At that moment, the dragon tortoise's shell was nearly shattered by Xiao Cao's attacks. The strangest thing was the dragon tortoise's cultivation. From the 10th level of the earth-shattering realm, it fell to the pitiful 3rd level of the martial lord realm. Yi Fei couldn't be bothered to attack the dragon turtle. He could just call Xia Jun or Hu Yanxiao over, and they would be enough to hang the dragon turtle up and beat it up. Eee! When Xiao Qiao saw that the dragon turtle couldn't run anymore, she put away her vine whip and pointed at the dragon turtle as she said something. The dragon turtle roared angrily as if it was dissatisfied with Xiao Qiao's threat. It even looked at Yi Fei with extreme disdain. Xiao Qiao couldn't help but emit a huge wave of anger. She didn't talk to the dragon turtle anymore. Instead, she lifted her leg and stepped on the dragon turtle's head. When Yi Fei saw this, he broke out in cold sweat. He couldn't help but look at the dragon turtle with sympathy. A level 10 expert was actually hung up and beaten by a little girl. This dragon turtle was really pitiful. In fact, when Xiao Cao's foot stepped on the dragon tortoise's head, even with its tyrannical nature, the dragon tortoise was so angry that it saw stars. It immediately rolled its eyes and fainted on the beach while spitting out bubbles. At the same time, the unconscious dragon turtle's body shrunk rapidly. It quickly shrunk from the size of a wash basin to the size of a palm. This was the dragon turtle's final self-protection. The smaller its body shrunk, the stronger its physical body would become. Xiao Qiao didn't expect the dragon turtle to have such a change. When the dragon turtle grew bigger, Xiao Qiao didn't notice it. Now that the dragon turtle had shrunk, it was actually very cute. Its entire body was sparkling and translucent like a crystal. Xiao Qiao found it very interesting just by looking at the dragon turtle's spinning eyes and spitting bubbles. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.